Chapter 80. Attitude Change. Lu Mu Yen used silk mist steps at its fastest and arrived in the cave where everyone had rested before. The battle wasn't over yet, and at this time, piles of ice-crite serpent corpses were everywhere. The students were practically exhausted as they dealt with the last wave of small serpents. She quickly moved to Lu Mu Bei's side when the others weren't paying attention and waved her whip to help him behead a wave of small serpents that surrounded him. Lu Mu Bei had taken the candy that was from Lan Si earlier with Lu Mu Yen, so he still had more than half of his elemental energy left, which meant, compared to the others, he had it much easier. Only after seeing his younger sister return safely did his hovering heart gradually fall back into place. Done. Lu Mu Bei asked Lu Mu Yen telepathically. Lu Mu Yen and Lu Mu Bei killed the last batch of ice-crite serpents back to back. Yep, it's done. The battles of the rest were also coming to an end. Several students had practically exhausted their elemental energy, and it was thanks to the help of Lan Si and the several teachers that they could survive the swarm of serpents. When the last ice-crite serpent was killed, whether it was the Empire Academy trial students or the Imperial Family trial team, most of them were sitting on the ground panting, and many were more or less injured too. Yun Zimo walked straight to Lu Mu Yen with a touch of complexity in his eyes and asked, "You gave them those powdered drugs? So what if it's me?" Lu Mu Yen knew that Yun Zimo and Lan Si had both noticed that she had left earlier, but she couldn't consider too much at the time. Though, if Yun Zimo mentioned it now, she inevitably would experience some trouble. Yun Zimo's eyes darkened, fell silent, then faintly said, "Nothing." Then he turned directly around and walked not far away to sit and meditate to recover his elemental energy. A sliver of surprise slipped past Lu Mu Yan's heart. Yun Zimo's brain wasn't ill, was it? But this was fine too. It saved her from having to explain to everyone. Lan Si looked at Yun Zimo thoughtfully, then asked Lu Mu Yen, "Do you still have the powdered drug?" Hearing Lan Si's question, everyone in their cave cast their gazes towards Lu Mu Yen, and many people held complex emotions in their eyes. If it weren't for the powder that Lu Mu Bei and the others scattered that temporarily paralyzed those waves of Tier 3 and 4 ice-crite serpents, they could still be fighting bitterly right now, or there could have even been some casualties. The powdered drug's effect was truly strong. Putting the fact that it was useful against Tier 4 demonic beasts aside, it could even be used in group attacks. If everyone carried some on them, next time, even if they encountered a group of demonic beast attacks, they'd still have confidence in escaping. There's still some more. Lu Mu Yen didn't hesitate and took out a part of the powdered drug she had in her interspatial ring and gave it to Lan Si. Since knowing that she was coming to the glacial mountain range, she had equipped herself with a lot of sleeping powder that she refined. Now that Lan Si asked for it for the other students, she would still give him this face. What's more, in the first segment where everyone traveled together, they would experience both glory and loss as one. Lan Si nodded with a smile. "Thank you. I'll report to the principal to compensate you after returning to the Empire." "No need." Lu Mu Yen smiled indifferently. These powders weren't worth a lot of money, so they might as well be used to buy people's hearts. Lan Si raised his eyebrow and with a gentle smile again, "Young Miss Lu sure is generous. Then we won't be courteous." Lu Mu Yen rolled her eyes at him and cursed secretly, "Fox." Lan Si asked Ji Xian to redistribute the powdered drug that he obtained from Lu Mu Yen to everyone who participated in the trial. "Put these powdered drugs away well. There are a lot of demonic beast packs in the glacial mountain range. If you meet them again, this is also a means of saving your life." "Yes." After everyone answered, some of them even looked at Lu Mu Yen apologetically. Their previous attitude towards her was too arbitrary. Then Lan Si and the several instructors picked through the piles of ice-crite serpent corpses in the cave, dug out their crystal cores, and gave everyone a share. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. Only after taking a rest in the cave for the night, when everyone's physical strength and elemental energy returned to their peaks, did Lan Si and Yun Ji lead them on their way. Along the way, many people's attitudes towards Lu Mu Yen had changed a lot, and from time to time, some people would even strike up a conversation with her. "We've arrived at the periphery, let's take a break first. Once we enter here, well be in the world where Tier 4 demonic beasts roam. Their cultivation base is similar to yours, so be vigilant at all times. When they arrived at a place where green plants grew, fresh flowers intertwined, and a forest that grew vigorously, Lan Si ordered everyone to rest. Not all places in the glacial mountain range were ice mountains. There was only daylight here, but in some places where the sun shone all year round, all seasons were practically like spring. After resting for a while, they continued on their way. Except after only walking for not even 2 hours, they heard some fighting noises and the roaring of demonic beasts in the woods ahead. Lan Si made a stop gesture, exchanged a glance with Yun Ji, then handed the students over to the several other instructors, before the two leapt in that direction. Lu Muyen looked in that direction and telepathically spoke to Mo Yen. Did the people ahead meet demonic beasts? It wasn't far ahead, and if she spread her mental energy, then she could find out what was happening there, but there was a demonic sense that was super strong, where with one casual sweep, the demonic beast could know what was occurring 1,000 li away, so she naturally knew to put it to good use. A group of humans and a demonic beast pack encountered each other, but it was solved quickly. The strength of that group is much stronger than your group. Mo Yen laid on Lu Muyen's shoulder and replied lazily. Lu Muyen stroked her chin, and the corner of her lips rose into an arc. The group of people ahead should undoubtedly be the pupils of the 10 distinguished clans. Not long after, Lan Si sent a signal to continue ahead, so Ji Xian rushed over with everyone. After passing through the woods, one saw many Tier 3 and 4 demonic beast corpses lying in the open ground. There were some people sitting separately on clean grass, and they appeared to be a small team. You guys come to rest as well for a bit? Lan Si pointed to a clean, open space to let the students of Yanzhou Kingdom rest, while he, himself, stood with 2 middle-aged men to chat, seeming to be acquaintances. Lu Muyen swept the 2 groups of people and a smile rose in her eyes, but she didn't take the initiative to step forward. When she walked to the place Lan Si designated, and just as she was about to sit, there was a sound of surprise that entered her ears. Mu Yen. When Yi Qinghan sat in his place to rest, he had heard that the students who participated in the trial competition from Yanzhou Kingdom also came. He only thought to glance over casually, but didn't expect to see the beautiful, otherworldly, white-clothed woman in the crowd. Lu Muyen stopped in her steps, turned her head, and smiled charmingly. Qinghan. The familiar greeting between the two surprised everyone in the woods, especially the few women who had been sitting in the clearing as they looked at Lu Muyen with dislike in their eyes. Yi Qingyan patted the young woman beside him, then they stood up and walked towards Lu Muyen. Muyen, long time no see. Yi Qingyan was still dressed in his dark patterned black robe with a rare smile on his handsome face. Lu Muyen nodded, her eyes dyed with a smile. Long time no see. Elder brother, is she the elder sister Mu Yen you spoke of? The sweet-looking and petite girl who stood beside Yi Qinghan asked with a smile. Yes, she's Lu Muyen. Yi Qinghan's voice carried a bit of pampering, then introduced to Lu Muyen. Muyen, this is my little sister, Yi Qinglu. Elder sister Mu Yen, you're so beautiful. Yi Qinglu blinked at Lu Muyen with a natural familiarity. She didn't know why, but just liked this woman, that her elder brother spoke of constantly at first glance. Qinglu is also very beautiful. Lu Muyen nodded and smiled cordially. The friendliness of the girl opposite her didn't appear to be fake, so a sense of intimacy was also birthed unconsciously in Lu Muyen's heart. Perhaps this was simply fate. Chapter 81. The Yi clan's brother ancestor Yi Qinghan was relatively humble, but there was a sense of distance towards everyone. It was difficult to see him reveal a smile from the bottom of his heart to anyone. Yi Qinglu, the little princess of the Yi family, had a very lively and cheerful appearance, but she rarely truly approved of anyone. No one had ever seen her display the intimacy that she did today towards anyone. Many people were puzzled by the attitude of the Yi clan's brother and sister towards Lu Muyen. Those who didn't know Lu Muyen's identity were all wondering who she was. It was the first time for Xueling and Xan Yingxian to see Qinghan display such a gentle side to a woman. In particular, the joy and warm color in his eyes pricked their eyes. Wuxia Xianxia had already found out Lu Muyan's identity before. From her point of view, this woman was just a fallen noble. The only thing that made her fear was the mysterious master behind Lu Muyan. Originally, she wanted to immediately get rid of Lu Muyan, but the other party had the marrow cleansing pill. After the superiors of the 10 distinguished clans received this news, the moment this trial ended, they would definitely go to Yanzhou Kingdom to discuss this matter. The elder of her clan also warned her not to make a move without permission and lose a great opportunity because of something small. Wuxia and Xianxia's eyes were grim. After she was warned by the clan, she decided to temporarily let Lu Muyan go and wait for the Wuxia clan to obtain the marrow cleansing pill first before killing her. But now looking at Yi Qinghan's attitude towards Lu Muyan, her heart was burning with jealousy. She just wanted to rush up and scratch open that gorgeous face of hers completely. Elder brother Muyan. At this time, several people from the Ling clan also walked over from another direction. The leader was a red-haired young man and a gentlewoman in plain clothes. Fei Li. A warm color flashed across Lu Mubei's eyes. Lu Muyan also smiled and addressed, elder cousin brother, elder cousin sister. The two of them were precisely the most promising of the younger generation in the Ling clan, Ling Fei Hao and Ling Fei Li. They were Lu Muyan's second uncle and third uncle's child respectively. They were 2 years older than her, and they treated her fairly nicely. Towards the rest that followed the two, Lu Muyan didn't have a strong impression. She supposed that they were the pupils of the Ling clan who just came to participate in the selection trial and wasn't from the main bloodline. Only when they saw Ling Fei Hao and Ling Fei Li greet Lu Muyan did many talents of the 10 distinguished clans realize her identity. But they still wondered how Yi Qinghan and Lu Muyan met. The relationship between the two was obviously not shallow. I've long heard my maternal grandfather say that Muyan's terminal meridian's constitution had been eradicated. But it was unexpected that we'd meet in this trial. I hope we can participate in the continental tournament for hegemony together. Ling Fei Hao's sunny and energetic face revealed a lovely dimple. Ling Fei Li beside him glared at him. Well, speak of these matters in private. This little boy spoke regardless of occasion. Didn't he see everyone's eyes were cast on them? Let's find a place to have a conversation first. Ling Fei Hao was just too excited to see the Lu brother and sister, so now that he had calmed down, he proposed. Lu Mubai nodded and smiled gently at the Yi clan's brother and sister. Muyan, you should accompany your friends and have chat. He could see that Yi Qinghan was looking for Lu Muyan for something. Although he didn't know how they met, but as long as the other party wasn't malicious, then it was fine. Alright, they'll chat a little with Qinghan and Qinglu. Eldest brother, you guys talk first. Then, Lu Mubai and the people from the Ling clan walked to a distant grassy area to sit and chat, while Lu Muyan's arm was wrapped around by Qing Les and was pulled under a large tree not far away. Yi Qinghan erected an elemental energy soundproof barrier. Seeing Yi Qinghan's hesitate in speaking, Lu Muyan understood. She took Qing Les' hand to take her pulse. Let me take a look at Qing Les' body first. Yi Qinglu was plagued by years of disease, and this time, it was because she had taken a pill the clan's alchemist had refined that could temporarily suppress the fetal poison that she could follow into the glacial mountain range. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks, she had long heard from her elder brother and old Lu that Lu Muyan had excelling medical skills. Elder brother had even successfully advanced to the Sword King stage because he took the marrow cleansing pill that Lu Muyan gifted. So she had long wanted to see the woman they constantly spoke of. Sure enough, she didn't disappoint at first glance today. She had a good impression of this woman who was only a year older than herself. Now that Lu Muyan wanted to check her pulse for her illness, she relaxed her body and allowed her to check. After changing Yi Qing Les' hand and continued to check her pulse, Lu Muyan's brows furrowed together slightly. Then, after a while, she let go and fell into deep contemplation. Muyan, how is it? Can Qing Les' poison be cured? Seeing Lu Muyan furrow her brows, worry couldn't help but rise from Yi Qinghan's heart. Yi Qinglu was more optimistic. Since she was a child, she knew that she might not live past 20 years old, so this time she begged the superiors in the clan to allow her to follow her elder brother to experience the outside world. Elder sister Muyan, I've been living with this chronic illness for years. If there's no solution, then it's also normal. Lu Muyen was just thinking deeply about how to cure Yi Qingle's poison, yet who knew that it'd cause a misunderstanding from the two. She smiled back and said, although the fetal poison in your body is deep, but it hasn't corroded to the internal organs yet. As long as you cure it within a year, then it'll be fine. If we drag the time longer than a year, the fetal poison flowing in your blood will slowly corrode your internal organs, and by then it'll be more troublesome. Then you mean Qinglu could still be saved now? A light burst from Yi Qinghan's eyes. Yi Qinglu froze and a look of hope rose in her eyes as she stared at Lu Muyen, waiting for her answer. Although she had a cheerful and optimistic temperament, but every time the fetal poison erupted within her, she always had the urge to commit suicide. If it weren't for her family, then she would have long been unable to continue to live. Now, if there was a way to completely eradicate the poison from within her body, then it would be the best result for her and her family. Yes, she can be saved. But because the poison had already blended with her blood, it'll be a bit troublesome to deal with. I still need to refine an antidote pill to be used together with the golden needle treatment. Lu Muyen paused, then added, it's just that I think the treatment should be postponed until after this trial is over. Yi Qingle's fetal poison wasn't difficult to solve, it was just troublesome to handle. During the treatment, it also required her to treat Yi Qinglu with needles every day for a month. In the glacial mountain range, they would separate immediately to complete their own trials, so she couldn't be treated. No hurry. I've been like this for so many years, I don't care about waiting a little more. Yi Qinglu was happy. She didn't expect that Lu Muyen really had a way to treat the fetal poison in her body. This made her feel a sense of hope that had never risen in her heart before. Yi Qinghan also revealed some excitement in his eyes. Everything's fine as long as it can be cured. Don't worry, I can cure this poison, I promise. Lu Muyen could deeply feel the pain of having a chronic illness. Judging from Yi Qingle's fetal poison, she would have an outbreak of intolerable pain almost every 2 months. To be able to live until now and still maintain such an optimistic temperament, it meant that Yi Qinglu was extremely tough. She admired such a girl very much. Muyen, a mere thank you is an insufficient response to such a huge favor. Yi Qinghan thought for a while and popped out this sincere sentence. Lu Muyen lowered her head and chuckled, then raised her head and looked at him jokingly. I still haven't treated Qinglu yet, your thanks is too early. I believe you. Yi Qinghan's handsome, sharp and angular face revealed unconditional trust. Since the time they went to the blazing mountain range together, an inexplicable feeling of trust grew in him towards this woman. Elder sister Muyen, I believe you too. Yi Qinglu smiled beautifully, with trust in her eyes. Lu Muyen's eyes were also dyed with a layer of deep warmth. She was very touched by this trust and was happy from the bottom of her heart. Random note. By the way, anyone reading on Novel website and giving all those 5-star reviews, if any one of you happen to be here, wow, thanks. I'm only the translator, but I guess I'm just genuinely happy to see others enjoying a novel I really love myself. And kudos for reading Immortal, that's another world out there. Though I completely understand, if it were me and I really wanted to read a novel in another language I didn't understand, yeah, MTL might be the way. Anyways, made me real happy to see so many people enjoy it even though I'm just translating it and it's not even my novel, huh? Chapter 82. The 3 men most difficult to approach. Yi Qinglu and Lu Muyen hit it off at first sight. They laughed and chatted for a while, and both felt as if they've met each other far too late. When Yi Qinghan was about to separate from Lu Muyen, he suddenly leaned close to her ear and whispered, the glacial mountain range hasn't been peaceful recently. Be careful when you complete your missions. If you meet people outside of Yanzhou Kingdom and the 10 distinguished clans, try your best to avoid them. Lu Muyen revealed confusion in her eyes, but didn't ask more, nodded and said, all right, you two take care too. Soon, the Yi clan's brother and sister returned to the place where the people of the Yi clan who participated in the trial gathered. Lu Muyen also went to where the Ling clan's people were and sat down. Muyen, you know the brother and sister of the Yi clan? Ling Fei Hao turned his eyes, then asked curiously. Lu Mu Yen said with a smile, "Yep, we've had some interactions before." "You can actually be so close to them, that's amazing." Ling Fei Hao raised a thumb up at Lu Mu Yen, then said in a whisper, "Those two siblings are famous for being watertight and they keep their distance from anyone, especially Yi Qing Han. He's exceptionally difficult to befriend." "There's such a thing?" Lu Mu Yen remembered that when she first met Yi Qing Han, he definitely felt distant, but afterwards, when they went to the blazing mountain range, that sense of distance gradually faded, and they even became friends with a bit of tacit understanding. She had never felt that it was difficult to approach Yi Qing Han. Ling Fei Hao leaned towards Lu Mu Yen and said, "There are 3 people who are considered the most difficult to approach in the 10 distinguished clans. Do you know which 3? Lu Mu Yen cooperated with Ling Fei Hao in amusement. "I don't know, which 3? Yi Qing Han counts as one?" She found that this elder cousin brother of hers was too lively and full of energy. "Yep, Yi Qing Han counts as one, and there's 2 other people. Look over at the group of people sitting across from us." The expressionless man sitting on the very edge, wearing a black brocade robe, is the most highly valued genius of the clan ranked number 1 of the distinguished clans, the Shi clan's Wan Shifeng. Ling Fei Hao gestured with his mouth, indicating to the opposite direction. Lu Mu Yen glanced over with her peripheral vision and found that the man named Shi Feng was leaning against a big tree alone with his eyes closed, without any expression on his face. But she felt a familiar feeling from him. He's an alchemist? Lu Mu Yen remembered that this familiar feeling originated from the scent of medicine that exuded from him, so she turned her head and asked Ling Fei Hao. She was exceptionally sensitive to smell. Earlier, when she passed by the area where the Shi clan was, she smelled a light medicinal scent that was from Shi Feng. Of course, the Shi clan is known for their alchemy across Tianling continent. Obviously, he's an alchemist. Ling Fei Hao glanced toward Shi Feng and there was a touch of admiration in his eyes. He's now a grade 3 alchemist. 19 years old and already a grade 3 alchemist? Isn't that amazing? He's known as the first person in the eastern region to have such high levels of mastery in alchemy in many years. Many alchemists have a weird temper, so it's normal if they're hard to interact with. Lu Mu Yen herself had interacted with many alchemists, so she naturally knew a bit about how some alchemists didn't like to deal with people. They spent all their time indulged in alchemy. The feeling that Shi Feng gave her was as such. This kind of indulgence was different to Hua Xiao's indulgence in smithing. She had seen people like Shi Feng before, and he should be one who truly loved the pleasure and accomplishment when spiritual herbs were successfully refined into pills. They pursued perfection and strived to refine the best pill as their lifelong goal. Ling Fei Hao pursed his lips and said, "It's not just because he's an alchemist, he's just got face paralysis too. His face is expressionless all year round. Basically no one's seen him show any excessive emotions." Lu Mu Yen smiled speechlessly, considering that to be her acquiescence, then asked, "And the last person?" "And the last person's the man in scarlet clothes sitting not far from your teacher. His name is Mu Yi and is the young lord of the Mu clan that's ranked 3rd in the 10 distinguished clans. He's also a grade 3 smith. The most important thing is that he's already comprehended 3 different elemental energy attributes already. Although he's only at peak phase Sword King cultivation base, but it's said that he already has the strength to fight a sword monarch." Ling Fei Hao added. Lu Mu Yen raised her eyes and glanced in Mu Yi's direction. Coincidentally, their eyes met as he lifted his. The 2 looked at each other, then each retrieved their gazes. "That person seems to be smiling all the time. How did you judge that he's difficult to interact with?" "It's precisely because he's smiling all the time that he's hard to interact with. Because he's a smiling tiger who treats everyone with politeness, regardless of who it is. It's a different tune to Yi Qing Han's distance, but with the same results 3. Ling Fei Hao said as he raised an eyebrow. "Come and read on our website Wuxia World site." Thanks. Lu Mu Yen looked at him, amused. "Elder cousin brother, I realize you're really bored." "Mu Yen, so you realize too. He just studies these boring things every day, and he doesn't listen to us no matter what we say." Ling Fei Li beside him couldn't help but laugh aloud. Ling Fei Hao huffed. I'm just studying my opponents, you guys don't understand. Lu Mu Yen and Ling Fei Li exchanged a look and saw the smile in each other's eyes. However, she did obtain 2 pieces of information from Ling Fei Hao's short gossip, which could be considered a gain. The several people chatted about the Ling clan and the 10 distinguished clans. Then the middle-aged man that was standing with Lan Si suddenly clapped his hands and said, "The trial members of the 10 distinguished clans will gather and set off in a quarter of an hour." Ling Fei Hao revealed a look of reluctance. They had only met for a little bit and now had to separate again. Lu Mu Bai patted his shoulder with a light smile. "Fei Hao, this time you need to bring glory to the Ling clan. Maybe we'll meet again within the later parts of the trial." "I will." Hearing Lu Mu Bei's words, Ling Fei Hao nodded solemnly. The current situation of the Ling clan wasn't really optimistic. He and Ling Fei Li were the main force of the Ling clan's trial this time, and they couldn't make the Ling clan lose face. Lu Mu Yen thought a bit, then took out a few packets of powdered drugs from her interspatial ring and stuffed them in their hands, saying, "These powdered drugs can deal with the demonic beasts and paralyze them for a few breaths. You can use these at critical times. This is the elemental energy replenishing pill 4, which can quickly replenish your elemental energy when you've depleted it." Then she handed 2 more bottles of elemental energy nourishing pills to the 2 as well. She believed that as the main targets of training in the 10 distinguished clans, they wouldn't lack pills with these types of effects. However, there's a shortage of alchemists on this continent, and pills were even scarcer. So presumably they wouldn't have a lot on them either. The people of the Ling clan all treated Lu Mu Yen very well, so this could be considered her returning the favor. "Wow, Mu Yen, you actually have so many good things." Ling Fei Hao quickly put the things away and said with big smiles, "Your master really is nice to you." Although she saw that he had misunderstood, but Lu Mu Yen didn't explain, "You just take good hold of it. After the trial ends, you'll go to the Ling clan to visit elder cousin brother Fei Yang." Speaking of Ling Fei Yang, the eyes of the people in the Ling clan unanimously displayed a bit of sadness. If Ling Fei Yang could also participate in the selection trial this time, they believed he definitely would be able to lead them to win a few more places for the competition. Don't be discouraged. Elder cousin brother Fei Yang will definitely get better. I believe he also hopes to see you all return successfully. Lu Mu Yen had confidence in curing Ling Fei Yang, but now wasn't a good time to say it. Seeing the few people a little dispirited, she squeezed her fists in encouragement. "Mu Yen's right. We must do our best to win glory for the Ling clan." Ling Fei Li's delicate face revealed a gentle smile, then she looked at Lu Mu Yen and Lu Mu Bai, saying, "You both be careful on your journey. I heard that the trial this time isn't that simple. Take care." "You guys take care too." After separating from Ling Fei Hao and the others, Lu Mu Yen and Lu Mu Bai returned to where the students of Yanzhou Kingdom were. But before they could sit down, they saw Shi Feng walk over. He stood in front of Lu Mu Yen, looked at her expressionlessly and asked, "You are Lu Mu Yen from the general's mansion of Yanzhou Kingdom?" One author typed Feng clan here, but pretty sure it's a typo. Think there were at least another typo somewhere, but yeah. No wonder MTL gets even more mixed up sometimes, huh? 2. It's a colloquial description in China and kind of makes fun of all those cool, cold, expressionless male leads that always appear in dramas. In particular used to refer to men who act cool, and usually to make fun of them for pretending to act like that. 3. Pretty straightforward, but it is an idiom that translates literally to different tunes sung with equal skill, aka different approaches but equally satisfactory results. For the same as spiritual energy replenishing pill. Probably an insignificant note, but yeah, huh? Chapter 83. The start of the trial missions. Lu Mu Yen watched Shi Feng walk over, but she didn't expect that this person would talk to her. Although Shi Feng was expressionless, but she could feel that he wasn't hostile. She nodded calmly. "I'm Lu Mu Yen. Something the matter? I heard that you have a pill called the marrow cleansing pill?" Only when Shi Feng mentioned pills was there a slight fluctuation in his usually calm eyes. Lu Mu Yan's expression didn't change. "Yes, but I don't have any more now." "Do you have the pill recipe for the marrow cleansing pill?" I can exchange it with you for a high-level grade 3 pill recipe. This was the first time that Shi Feng ever mentioned wanting to make such a transaction with anyone. He was very excited when he heard about the efficacy of the marrow cleansing pill. The pill recipe of a pill that had such an effect, defying normalcy, was something no alchemist could refuse. He didn't know whether Lu Mu Yen would agree to his proposal or not, but he wanted to give it a try regardless. I don't. The pill recipe of the marrow cleansing pill is in my master's hands. Lu Mu Yen shrugged and expressed helplessness. Recently, many people desired her marrow cleansing pill, but Shi Feng seemed to only be interested in the pill recipe. If it were someone else, they might be tempted by the deal he proposed. After all, it wouldn't be a disadvantage to exchange a grade 2 pill recipe for a grade 3 high-level pill recipe. But in her head, there existed unique pill recipes that don't even exist on this continent. So how could she be tempted by Shi Feng's grade 3 pill recipe? Shi Feng appeared to have expected it, but he was still a little bit disappointed. He fell silent for a while, then said to Lu Mu Yen with a calm expression, "If you want to trade in the future, you can come to the Shi clan to find me." "All right." Lu Mu Yen didn't refuse either. "Then excuse me," Shi Feng said politely before turning to leave. Lu Mu Yen quickly withdrew her gaze that was on him. This person sure was quite polite. After Shi Feng left, she found an empty space and sat down, ignoring the gazes that were cast on her from all directions. She calmly took out a soft and delicious pastry from her interspatial ring to eat. A quarter of an hour later, the trial teams of the 10 distinguished clans quickly gathered and hurried to the boundary between the outer ring and the periphery of the glacial mountain range. Only the people of Yanzhou Kingdom who participated in the trial and the demonic beast corpses scattered around remained. Lan Si also returned to the team. He nipped a piece of tea pastry from Lu Mu Yen and sent it to his mouth, then said with a smile, "Lu Mu Yen, you made these yourself?" "Yeah, it's made with spiritual tea." Lu Mu Yen didn't know from where Lan Si could tell that the pastries were made by herself, but she didn't conceal it either. "It tastes pretty good." Lan Si took another piece and swallowed it. Lu Mu Yen guessed that he still had something to say, so she didn't respond, and just smiled faintly. "Aren't you going to break through? It's dangerous after we enter the boundary between the outer ring and the inner ring." Lan Si slowly took out a handkerchief and wiped the corners of his mouth and hands, then tossed it away casually. The handkerchief vanished with the wind without a trace. Lu Mu Yen pursed her lips. "Maybe, during our next rest." The spiritual energy had already reached its peak within her, and her cultivation base had already reached a bottleneck. It was only because it was inconvenient to immediately advance in the glacial mountain range, that's why she had been suppressing her cultivation base. Since Lan Si reminded her so kindly, then she had nothing to hide either. The corners of Lan Si's lips raised, and he didn't say any more. Only after resting for almost 2 hours and after feeling that the distance between them and the team ahead had lengthened, did he tell everyone to rise and keep going. While on the way, Lu Mu Yen saw that Yun Lan wanted to talk to her, but was hesitating, so she said first, "Elder cousin brother has something to tell me?" "It's nothing big, I just wanted to ask, you're very familiar with Yi Qing Han?" "Yeah, we can be considered friends." Lu Mu Yen nodded with a smile. Yun Lan fell silent for a while, then said, "Then, Mu Yen, can you help me arrange a battle hymn to exchange pointers?" "Elder cousin brother, why do you insist on exchanging pointers with Yi Qing Han?" Lu Mu Yen had always been curious as to why Yun Lan wanted to chase after Yi Qing Han so persistently. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks, his skill attributes are the same as mine. Every time I finish fighting with him, he'll always have some comprehensions. It just so happens that my current sword skill is at a bottleneck. Yun Lan explained. He wasn't that familiar with Yi Qing Han, and it was only accidental that they fought twice before. If he went to arrange a battle with Yi Qing Han, he feared that he would misunderstand, so he wanted to ask Lu Mu Yen for help. Lu Mu Yen smiled in understanding now and said, "So it's like that. Then after the trial, he'll help you ask him." Either way, after the trial's over, she needed to go to the Yi clan for a month, so it was fine to take an extra person. Yi Qing Han presumably wouldn't reject either. "All right, then ill trouble Mu Yen." Along the way, they encountered countless attacks from demonic beasts, and even a few Tier 4 demonic beasts that lead groups, but they were all avoided. Of course, the effect of Lu Muyan's powdered drug took half the credit. They hurried on with their journey while killing demonic beasts, and 7 days passed. The group of talents arrived at the border between the forest and icy mountains. Lan Si and the other instructors took them to a place at the foot of the icy mountains. There sat a wooden hut, and after entering, a warm current spread towards them. In the middle of the wooden hut, there was a stove, and above the stove rose wisps of steam. There was also a kettle atop of it, and a white-haired old man sat before it. Yun Song, "You're all here. Take a seat." Yun Song raised his eyes and nodded to everyone. Lan Si and the few instructors sat down, then the students all found a random spot to sit. "Lu girl, I heard that you have quite good tea-making skills. Come and make a pot." Lu Muyan lowered her eyes, pulled Lu Mu Bai together to sit beside Yun Song, then said, "Yes." Yun Song smiled, took out a box of spiritual tea from his interspatial ring and handed it to Lu Muyan. Lu Muyan took the spiritual tea, and as soon as she opened the lid, a rich and fragrant smell wafted to her nose. She took a few spoonsful out and started to brew tea. As expected from the imperial teacher of Yanzhou Kingdom, the quality of this spiritual tea was much better than the quality of the tea she obtained from shopkeeper Lu. Lu Muyan's actions that were like moving clouds and flowing water were very pleasing to the eye. Then she listened to Yun Song's order and poured everyone a cup. Yun Song's value of Lu Muyan and his different attitude towards her made most of the other students astounded, and they all reassessed Lu Muyan in their hearts. Yun Song took a sip from his teacup and his eyes revealed some satisfaction, then said rather slowly towards everyone, "Starting today, your trial truly begins. Your first mission. Within 5 days, each of you must go out and kill at least 10 Tier 5 demonic beasts and come back. You can team up to complete the mission, or you can snatch it from other people, but you aren't allowed to kill each other. After 5 days, come here to meet us. If you don't reach the number, you will be eliminated automatically. Then a small team from the imperial family will escort the eliminated people back to the imperial capital." "Yes, imperial teacher." Hearing the first task issued, every student participating in the trial here were all feeling ambitious and fervent. By the way, you need to complete this operation alone or in any team. The instructors will no longer accompany you throughout, so pay attention to your own safety. If you die here, then everything will be over for you. I hope that you will all stay alive." Yun Song drank all the tea in the cup and with a serious expression, "Rest for a night, and you'll leave early tomorrow morning. Whether you complete the mission or not, 5 days later, before this time, report back. We will follow the instructions of the imperial teacher." Chapter 84, Spiritual Force Body Tempering. After everyone scattered, Lu Muyan greeted Lu Mu Bai before walking to sit cross-legged atop a large tree with dense foliage not far from the wooden house. She closed her eyes and the spiritual energy within her body performed a few macrocosmic orbits, placing her whole body and mind in a free and empty state. One night was enough for her to advance. Streams of spiritual force came from all directions and quickly entered her body. A faint green force encircled her dantian, full of vitality. Above her head, in the sky, clusters of spiritual clouds gathered, and lightning bolts descended from the spiritual clouds, striking each of Lu Muyan's meridians. The spiritual force continuously tempered her body. Dazzling lights like colored glaze shone down on her through the dense leaves, making the gorgeous, white-clothed young girl appear as if a stunning celestial that had descended, rippling in light and enigmatic as if behind a layer of mist. And this sight naturally stirred everyone who was resting within the wooden hut. They leapt out of the house, looked in Lu Muyan's direction, and were completely stunned. This is spiritual force body tempering? A student stammered out. Isn't Lu Muyan's talent a bit too strong? She's only advancing but can actually attract spiritual force body tempering. Isn't it that only the legendary constitution can cause such an anomalous phenomenon of heaven and earth? A member of the imperial family said in disbelief. She doesn't have a special or rare constitution. but it said that people with the terminal meridian's constitution are actually extremely talented and heaven-defying. It's just that it's been stopped by their terminal meridians. So after eradicating the terminal meridian's constitution, her talents and aptitudes are gradually revealed. This truly is the so-called interdependence of blessings and misfortunes. The Lu Mu Yen, after eradicating the terminal meridian's constitution, compared to the trash from before, are like two different people. The students were discussing constantly, and they all sighed with mixed emotions at Lu Mu Yan's good fortune. Yun Song, Lan Si, and Yun Ji were also standing outside the hut, looking at the anomalous phenomena occurring at that large tree. Every time a spiritual cloud scattered, there would be even more that floated over. It was as if the white-clothed woman shrouded in a colorful glaze had a dantian that was a bottomless pit, incessantly absorbing the spiritual force of heaven and earth. Its speed was truly breathtaking. Imperial teacher, Lu Mu Yen really doesn't have the heavenly spiritual body? Yun Ji looked at Yun Song in confusion, asking. He had never seen anyone who could attract the spiritual force body tempering anomalous phenomenon when they were advancing. Such an anomalous phenomenon was only a legendary existence, yet he didn't expect to see it today occurring on the infamous trash of the empire. Yun Song's gaze was deep, and with a rare smile on his face, he sighed. She does indeed not have the heavenly spiritual body, but she has excelling talent that is no less than a heavenly spiritual body. The future of this girl is immeasurable. Then, Yun Song looked at Lan Si with a serious expression and ordered, "No accident can occur to Lu Mu Yen during this trial." Whether it was the master behind Lu Mu Yen, or the excelling cultivation and alchemy talents that she displayed, it all decided that she would be an extraordinary person in the future. The empire could not lose such a talent. "I will protect her secretly." Lan Si nodded, "But all the missions in the trial need to be completed by herself, so I will not take action until a life or death moment. That is only of course. If she can't even pass such a trial, then it would be a waste of her good aptitude." A sharp glint flashed in Yun Song's eyes. "I just have a feeling that she can win a trial quota this time." "I hope so." The gaze that Lan Si cast towards Lu Mu Yen revealed a hint of extreme interest. After a few hours, Lu Mu Yan's spiritual energy soared. She opened her tightly shut eyes and formed a few hand seals before her. The few spiritual clouds that remained in the sky were absorbed by her, and the layer of thin film that blocked her advancement in her dantian was broken by the flooding of elemental energy. Wang! A huge amount of spiritual energy poured into her dantian, and the light green mist expanded in size. Only after performing a few cosmic orbits in her body was Lu Mu Yan's advancement complete. Feeling the abundant and deep spiritual energy within her, a confident smile rose on her lips. "Come and read on our website Wuxia World site." Thanks, although she was only at a sword spirit cultivation base, but the spiritual energy in her body wasn't inferior to that of an initial phase Sword King Sword Master. Now she had another layer of guarantee for the upcoming trial mission. Then Lu Mu Yen finished and glanced in the direction of the wooden hut with furrowed brows. There, countless pairs of eyes were staring at her, transfixed, making her feel very helpless. After eradicating her terminal meridian's constitution, her potential talent was even better than those pampered children with special constitutions. And because of her unique flesh refining manual, every time she advanced, she would attract the anomalous phenomena of heaven and earth where spiritual clouds would send lightning to temper her body. She suddenly felt a headache because the scene of her advancement was too big. She didn't like being watched and liked to cause trouble even less. But as long as she could refine the foundation establishment pill and take it, after successfully establishing her foundation, she could create a site where it would conceal and isolate the anomalous phenomena of heaven and earth during advancement from the outside world. She ignored the gazes of those people. Right now, she was bound to be questioned if she walked over, so she continued to sit on the tree and close her eyes to rest. It wasn't until when the time came for the mission to start did Lu Mu Yen jump off the branch and leave with Lu Mu Bai and the rest. After separating from the other trial students, Yun Lan took out a beast skin map and carefully checked it. Alan, you actually have a map of the outer ring and inner ring of the glacial mountain range. Xiao Ziong looked at the beast skin map and said in surprise. Yun Lan looked at the beast skin map carefully, then explained, "This is from my master." After hearing that it was given by Yun Lan's master, Xiao Ziong said excitedly with a smile, "Then are there marked locations for the Tier 5 demonic beasts we need to find?" Yun Lan's master was Tatsord's sovereign expert of the empire that was currently in closed-door cultivation, and also Yenzhou Kingdom's strongest sword master. It was also because of his support that Yenzhou Kingdom wasn't completely reduced to the ranks of a small country. "Yep, there are rough coordinates," Yun Lan said to them after confirming a few points on the map. "There's a Tier 5 ice ape to the east of the mountain, and it's also the closest place to us. Let's go there for the mission first." All right. Their little team consisted of Yun Lan, Yun Jin, Xiao Ziong, Yun Luo, Qi Xian, and the two siblings of the Lu clan. Their strengths were relatively prominent among the trial teams. With Yun Lan's map, the efficiency would be improved a lot, so it wouldn't be difficult for them to complete the missions. It saved time and trouble. 5 days was enough. "Elder cousin brother, are there marked locations of spiritual herbs?" Lu Mu Yen asked in a whisper when she walked beside Yun Lan. Yun Lan nodded, "Yes, but not complete. There's only markings for spiritual herbs that are being protected by demonic beasts." "Can I take a look?" Lu Mu Yan's eyes lit up like stars. A spiritual herb like the deep orchid would definitely be guarded by a demonic beast. Yun Lan smiled, took out the beast skin map from his chest area 1 and handed it to Lu Mu Yen. Then he pointed to a few places where only one word was written, saying, "These are the places. There's the word orchid 2 here. Does it represent the deep orchid?" Lu Mu Yen stared at the place marked on the map with the word orchid as her heart skipped a beat. "Yes, the deep orchid can only be found in the glacial mountain range. It's extremely rare and precious. According to my master's notes, the demonic beast guarding it is a peak phase Tier 5 cold mist Jiao 3. It's also the king of the northwest area." Yun Lan was very familiar with the things marked on the map. His master had explained it all to him one by one before coming. Lu Mu Yen pointed to a few other markings and asked at random, but she noted down the deep orchid's direction and location in her heart. One probably an unnecessary explanation, but you know how in ancient China, people wore robe-like clothes? Love them BW, they're so pretty. Anyways, obviously you wrap one side of the robe over the other side to wear it, so there's a slit there to put things. Often in Chinese dramas you'd see them take things out from their chest area. Women are often seen taking things out from their sleeves. 2 The actual character is from, which is deep orchid. 3 Okay, based on my many years of reading Chinese novels, the word used here to describe the animal means a being that is more than a snake but less than a dragon. I did a brief Google and Baidu search and it came up with, amongst some other answers, which is translated as a flood dragon. Are thought to be beings that are related to water only. It can eventually evolve to become a true dragon, however. There's no real English translation except dragon, but it's not quite. So I'm leaving it as it is, haha. Chapter 85. How violent Lu Mu Yen and her party quickly arrived at the Ice Ape's cave marked on the map. Sure enough, they felt 3 Tier 5 demonic beast auras in the depths of the cave. Outside the cave, groups of low-level ice apes were walking back and forth. Yun Lan made a gesture to the others with his hands, took out a long sword, then cut through the air. The others also took out their spirit treasures one by one to sweep through the low-level ice apes outside, and in only a short while, they made their way deep into the cave. Roar! Their fight also attracted the attention of the 3 ice ape kings deep in the cave that rushed out, beating their chests. Lu Mu Yen looked at one of the ice ape kings that was more than 3 meters high, and fighting spirit rose in her eyes. After the spiritual force body tempering and advancing to a sword spirit, her bodhi's toughness also rose a level, and the flesh refining technique rose a layer too. This initial phase Tier 5 demonic beast was the perfect opponent for to practice against right now. "Leave that shortest one to me," Lu Mu Yen said as she rolled her fists. Xiao Ziong rolled his eyes at her and said, "That's a Tier 5 demonic beast. Even if you did advance to sword spirit, you don't need to be so wild and arrogant, right? Lu Muyen glanced at him lightly. It's not like I'm an idiot like you. After speaking, she didn't wait for anyone else to say anything, and with a flash, she just raised her fist and charged over. She leapt up and with bare hands, directly greeting the ice ape that charged towards her. Boom boom. The two collided. The ice ape stumbled back a few steps, while Lu Muyen was directly slammed into the wall opposite, shaking down a lot of rubble. However, her face not only didn't have the slightest discoloration, but instead, her fighting spirit grew more and more intense. Her exquisite and gorgeous face was dyed with a layer of faint red. Then with a leap, she once again, in midair, punched towards the ice ape. The ice ape king had already developed intelligence, so it was completely angered by such provocation from a human that was one stage lower than itself. It beat its chest and roared a few times, then similarly clenched its hands to greet that tender fist. Bang! The two fists met, but neither side was jolted back this time. They continued to fight using the most primitive physical combat method, throwing punches at each other one by one. Is Lu Muyen still a woman? Xiao Ziong watched that petite and delicate woman collide and bombard that tall, thick ice ape, completely stupefied. And yet she wasn't at a disadvantage at all. The traces of wildness, arrogance, and that domineering manner she revealed completely startled him. Yun Jin couldn't help but twitch the corners of his mouth. He stood beside Xiao Ziong with folded arms as his eyes revealed some interest. How violent! But I like it. Xiao Ziong held his forehead. Were there still any normal people around? He glanced around. Yun Lan and Yun Luo were practicing against one. Lu Mu Bai faced another alone. Qi Xian was cleaning up the few low-level ice apes that they had missed, and Lu Muyen was just currently fighting gleefully. He couldn't help but poke Yun Jin's arm and said, "Is it really fine for us to just stand here and watch the fight? What's wrong with that? Those who have the abilities do more work. Just let them fight first." Their hands were itching for a long time. Yun Jin raised an eyebrow indifferently. Even if we want to intervene, there's nowhere to be of use right now, so just watch. Xiao Ziong also realized that Yun Jin's words were reasonable, so he shrugged and continued to watch the battle. From time to time, he would even nitpick Lu Muyen's fight, but he couldn't help but feel admiration towards her rise within him. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks, the fight developed into a completely one-sided battle. Lu Mu Bai easily beheaded the Ice Ape King. He battled while Yun Lan and Yun Luo also killed the other Ice Ape without using their full strength. Seeing that the other people's battles were already over, Lu Muyen didn't delay any more time either. She took 2 steps back, moved her fingers, and one immediately saw thin red threads of elemental energy condensation reveal itself from the Ice Ape's thin fur, displayed in an octagonal shape. This was the fire elemental energy array that she quietly buried on the Ice Ape's body every time her body physically clashed with the Ice Ape's. If she wanted to kill her opponent with her physical strength alone, she still couldn't do it for the time being. Of course, if she could do another spiritual force body tempering, then she could do it. Lu Muyen murmured a few phrases and activated the fire elemental energy in the array. The octagonal-shaped red threads began to move quickly and gradually tightened. A moment later, the red thread firmly bound the limbs of the Ice Ape, trapping it in place for the time being. At the same time, the eye of the array lit up brightly in red, transforming into streams of light that shot out directly towards the center of the Ice Ape's eyebrows. The Ice Ape wailed, then its huge body fell heavily to the ground, without a single breath remaining. The few people that were originally merely standing, watching her fight were now all stunned. When did she arrange this trick? They didn't notice it at all. They only knew the constant bombardment of bodies between her and the Ice Ape, but they didn't expect that she had long planted a second means to win. Mu Yen, what was the matter with that trick you just used? Elemental energy condensation is really this powerful? Yun Jin watched Lu Muyen's battle from start to finish but didn't notice that she used elemental energy condensation. The elemental energy condensation of a sword skill was what made the Yi clan famous, but it didn't have such potent, silent, and obscure powers. Lu Mu Yen collected her spoils, and didn't conceal either. This is an array formed by elemental energy condensation. Those thin red threads had long destroyed the meridians in the limbs of that ice ape. When I decide to kill it, it can also play a restraining role. She was most famous in the spirit world not for her alchemy skills, but for her arrays. She had thoroughly researched all types of arrays and were highly adept in them. If her strength allowed her, she could even personally arrange a few ancient great arrays. Even if a sword sovereign expert entered, she could promise that they wouldn't be able to exit. Although at the cultivation base of a great sword master, she could condense the elemental energy within their body, but it wasn't that powerful. However, after entering the sword spirit stage, she could use many different skills. An elemental energy array could also be quietly assembled, making one hard to defend against it. It made fights a lot easier. Except she was currently cultivating the cultivation skills of the immortal cultivation world, so advancing in the levels of a sword master just couldn't allow her to use certain talents. Only when she established her foundation, formed a core, formed a nascent soul and so forth, like in her previous life, could she exhibit her strengths. Aren't arrays only able to be arranged with array flags and array tools? Yun Luo asked in surprise. Most arrays do require array flags and array tools, but they can also be constructed with elemental energy. But not everyone can use elemental energy to build an array. Lu Mu Yen stretched out her hand and a red, octagonal elemental energy array was easily constructed by her. She continued, building an array with elemental energy not only requires one to do 3 things at once, but also requires the talent to enter a free and empty state at any time and make a sketch of the array in their heart. The heart array was a secret manual that had long been lost in the ancient times. She only knew it because she accidentally discovered it in an ancient cultivator's cave. In the immortal cultivation world, there wouldn't be more than 10 people that could use spiritual energy to build an array. In a place like Tianling continent where everything was lacking, it was probably even more impossible to find a second person who could use the heart array. After listening to Lu Mu Yan's explanation, Yun Luo and the rest were all speechless. In the end, wasn't it that it required talent to be able to do it? They sure didn't have the ability to achieve a free and empty state of mind at any time, nor do 3 things at once. Lu Mu Yen was just specifically attacking them now. It only took a few months for her to advance from an advanced phase sword novice to a sword spirit. This sort of speed really made them, who were the so-called geniuses, yet used more than a decade, feel ashamed. She also only used the cultivation base of a sword spirit to defeat a Tier 5 ice ape that was equivalent to an initial phase sword king strength, and not only used elemental energy condensation, but could also use elemental energy to build an array to kill her opponent. These methods had never been heard of before. She slowly revealed to them the edges of her talents, but every time they thought that her strength and the means she displayed had already exceeded their imagination, she could attack them again with reality. After hunting the Tier 5 ice apes, the group followed the closest path on the marked map and swept up and beheaded the Tier 5 demonic beasts required for the mission. 3 days later, on a glacial plain, green trees were dotted among the vast expanse of white, and a group of cold vultures flew on the clearing around the trees. When Yun Zmo and 2 other teams of students rushed to the ice field, wanting to kill the Tier 5 cold vultures that they received information of, they saw a large group of cold vultures currently fighting a few people. Among the few people led by Lu Mu Bai, 2 of them cleaned the low-level cold vulture on the periphery, while 4 of them faced 4 Tier 5 cold vulture kings among the cold vultures. And the white-clothed woman currently in battle with a Tier 5 cold vulture king unexpectedly stunned them. She was agile and fast, sped swiftly beneath the wings of the demonic beast, blasted and slammed with her fists covered in elemental energy, used her body to fight head-to-head with the Tier 5 cold vulture king, and yet she wasn't at all at a disadvantage. Sword masters were more adept in long-range combats because their bodhi's toughness couldn't be compared to a demonic beast's, so they were weak in close-quarters combat. But Lu Mu Yen personally let them realize that the body of a human sword master could also be as strong and tough as a demonic beast. That's Lu Mu Yen? Ji Han Su, who stood beside Yun Zmo, didn't conceal the shock in his eyes. If he hadn't seen it with his own eyes, he'd absolutely never believed that Lu Muyan's body was so tough. Yun Zimo's cold eyes deepened. She should have practiced a flesh-refining skill. But to be able to combat a Tier 5 demonic beast with the cultivation base of a sword spirit master, and still appear to be winning, she indeed has her own strengths. The body of a human sword master, compared to a demonic beast, was extremely fragile. A sword master once developed a flesh-refining skill to make up for this shortcoming, but unfortunately, these sorts of skills were not only rare to find, but it also wasn't suitable for everyone to cultivate. He guessed that Lu Muyan probably obtained a flesh-refining manual and trained in it successfully. Otherwise, it'd be impossible to have the ability and physical quality to fight against demonic beasts directly. Could it be the effect of the marrow-cleansing pill? A fiery light flashed across Ji Han's eyes. Yun Zimo pondered for a bit before disagreeing. Even the most heaven-defying pill couldn't cleanse the marrow-wondrifying the body. The strength she displayed doesn't seem to be improved because she took a pill. But it's undeniable that the marrow-cleansing pill indeed turned the famous waste of the imperial capital into a genius who's not at all inferior to you now. Ji Han Su held a firm belief in the efficacy of the marrow-cleansing pill. Recently, the Ji clan was also secretly negotiating with the Lu clan, only hoping to successfully obtain the marrow-cleansing pill. Yun Zimo's eyes displayed a look of disagreement, but he didn't say more. Presumably, there were a lot of people that thought of Lu Muyan in that way, but he guessed that it was actually because this woman hid her talents well. He firmly believed that it was simply impossible for a person to change so drastically due to the effects of a pill alone. After eradicating the terminal meridian's constitution, two of the most important factors that Lu Muyan relied on to achieve what she did definitely must be her own extraordinary talents and own efforts. The jealousy in Yun Ge's eyes were inadvertently revealed and was quickly caught by Qi Luxiang, who stood not far away. She lowered her eyes to cover up the changing emotions in her eyes and thought, this time, she'd definitely not allow Lu Muyan to return and would help the Gu clan get rid of this huge nuisance and trouble. The fight remained one-sided. After Lu Muyan sweat to her heart's content, and her body and mind were refreshed, she arranged an elemental energy killing array to trap the Cold Vulture King. The Cold Vulture King was unwilling to reveal weakness. It was trapped, but it gathered all its demonic energy on its sharp beak, raised its head, then lowered it, pecking towards the weakest part of Lu Muyan's head. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. Lu Muyan's eyes grew cold. A layer of glaze-like jade color enveloped her hand. She quickly backed away a few steps, then leapt forward, and her right fist that carried boundless elemental energy was directly inserted into the area where the crystal core resided, wrenching it right out. Gah! The Cold Vulture King's eyes bulged, and its breath stopped abruptly in its last call. After putting away the Cold Vulture King's corpse, Lu Muyan walked to Yun Lan and the other's side, and said with a smile, "Mission complete. Lu Muyan, you little monster. You completed your first trial mission in only 3 days." Xiao Ziong pursed his lips and said, unreconciled. Except there was a smile of admiration in his eyes. Lu Muyan raised an eyebrow, stretched out her hand and patted his shoulder. Then her eyes curved into a crescent shape as she smiled. "Brother, I've got to remind you that you've still got 7 demonic beasts left to complete the mission, but there's only 2 days left." The corner of Xiao Ziong's mouth twitched. This was precisely a caustic friend that was here just to take a jab at his heart. The others couldn't help but smile. Then, seeing the people on the opposite side walk towards them, Yun Lan's eyes deepened, and he greeted Yun Zimo, "Young royal uncle." Yun Zimo's cold eyes didn't reveal much emotion. He nodded and asked, "Have you all completed your missions? We're almost done." Yun Lan turned the conversation on its head and asked with a smile, "I suppose that young royal uncle must have completed your trial missions, right?" "Not yet. There's still 3 more left until completion." Yun Zimo answered indifferently. "I say, Yun Lan, aren't you all a bit unkind?" Ji Han Su stepped forward and with a smile, as if joking, said, "You guys always intercept and kill the Tier 5 demonic beasts. You should at least leave some soup for us brothers when you're eating the meat. Xiao Ziong still remembered how Ji Han-su acted against Lu Mu Bai for Yun Ge earlier, so he said, "Well, who told you guys to always be slower than us? Even I haven't had any soup, so don't you guys count on having any either." "Oh, isn't this alchemist Xiao? You still need to drink soup? With your identity as an alchemist, you can just beckon and call, and wouldn't there be a lot of sword masters who will come and hack through brambles and thorns and sweep a bunch of tier 5 demonic beasts for you?" A young man beside Ji Han-su who wore fine and splendid robes sneered, with ridicule in his voice. Xiao Ziong choked. He did indeed have some power to rally helpers back in the imperial capital because of his identity as an alchemist, but during the trial in the glacial mountain range, everyone was a child favored by the heavens. So who would help him sweep up tier 5 demonic beasts for a few pills? The anger in his heart rose steadily. The young man across from him who spoke was also his enemy in the imperial capital, so to be ridiculed like this, he truly couldn't swallow the anger. Just when he was about to resolve this using force, his arm was pulled by Lu Mu Yen. "Alchemist Xiao, this miss is willing to hack through brambles and thorns to sweep up a bunch of tier 5 demonic beasts for you." Lu Mu Yan's eyes curved as they carried a brightness and continued, "Let alone drinking soup, let's not even leave a single demonic beast fur for these eyesores." "All right." Xiao Ziong felt the warmth from his arms, and his heart also warmed up. Lu Mu Yen truly was loyal. "Lu Mu Yen, who are you saying is an eyesore?" That young man who had ridiculed Xiao Ziong glared at her furiously. Lu Mu Yen retracted her hand on Xiao Ziong's arm, picked up a strand of hair on her shoulder to play with, then raised her eyes carelessly, saying, "Of course it's whoever answers is the eyesore." This person was Gu Yanran's admirer. He hadn't ridiculed and bullied her any less when they met before, and now he was mocking Xiao Ziong. Lu Mu Yan's lips curled up into a cold arc. "Want to complete the mission to kill tier 5 demonic beasts? Humph, with her here, this person could dream on." Chapter 87. Prepared to prank. Hearing Lu Mu Yan's arrogant words, the people around the young boy frowned unconsciously. "Lu Mu Yan, don't think that you're amazing just because you're able to kill a tier 5 demonic beast, and you even want to not leave a single demonic beast fur for us. If you really have that ability, then show it to us, why only talk about it?" Yun Ge looked unhappy, then mocked. "Let's take a bet to see just who will lose." Lu Mu Yan's aunt in the imperial palace, as the empress, already suppressed her concubine mother. Who expected that now the Lu clan's little trash's strength also suppressed her? With new grudges and old grudges, it made Yun Ge feel exceptional disgust towards Lu Mu Yen. Lu Mu Yen chuckled and raised an eyebrow. "That's what you said? Was this stupid woman really an elite raised by the imperial family? She not only wasn't astute nor subtle, but also got angry immediately when provoked." Lu Mu Yen couldn't help but cast a sympathetic glance at Ji Han-su. With such a pig teammate one as his betrothed, Ji Han-su's entire life would definitely never be boring. In fact, she didn't know that Yun Ge's concubine mother was given the cold shoulder by Yun Tianchen because she once acted arrogantly towards the empress and didn't give her any face, relying on the fact that she was highly favored by the emperor. As Yun Ge's talent was pretty good, she was sent to cultivate in the imperial family's secret grounds. Plus, she was the princess of the imperial family, so many people were willing to sell her some favors, and from a young age, she was also very distant from the complexities of the imperial palace and hadn't interacted with a lot of secrets. That's why it raised her to be such a simplistic, stupid, and self-centered person. Ji Han-su naturally caught Lu Mu Yan's blatant sympathetic gaze, and he couldn't help but hold his forehead. He was actually being sympathized and gloated by the once most famous trash of the imperial capital. But looking at his betrothed's disdainful, nasty face, he couldn't help but want to wipe some tears of sympathy for himself as well. He couldn't help but assist Yun Ge last time because of their relationship, but now she was acting stupid again. He really didn't have the heart to care about it anymore. After returning, he must properly mention it to the superiors of the clan. It was best to annul this engagement. "Lu Mu Yen who can't talk big? Then well, wait and see how you keep us from not even being able to touch demonic beast fur." The young man sneered and said with extreme disdain. Lu Mu Yen gave the two a like in her heart too. They sure knew exactly what to do. After completing the mission, the 2 days left would be filled with idleness and boredom. Since it didn't really occur often that an opportunity to prank would arrive at the door by itself, shed play with them a bit then. All right. You two just prepare to pack your bags and return to the imperial capital after 2 days then. Lu Mu Yen smiled devilishly and the arrogance in her eyes was undisguised. Humph, what big talk. Just wait and see. Yun Gu also couldn't help but snort, turned around and dragged Jihan Su with the rest, leaving the ice field. She wanted to find Tier 5 demonic beasts before Lu Mu Yen and the others and let that woman lose face entirely. The people from the other small team glanced at each other and followed. They were all sword spirit strengths, so if they wanted to successfully complete the task, they had to rely on Jihan Su. Yun Zimo's obsidian-like eyes were encircled with a layer of unidentifiable light. He took a deep look at Lu Mu Yen, addressed Yun Lan, then turned to leave. However, his route was the opposite of Yun Ge's group. He had a feeling that if he followed Yun Ge, his mission would be difficult to complete. After all the people who had intruded left, worry rose in Xiao Ziong's eyes. Lu Mu Yen, even if you want to help me retaliate against them, you didn't need to boast so wildly, right? If you let them kill a Tier 5 demonic beast, then we'd both lose our faces terribly. Although he said this, he didn't have any intent on blaming her. On the contrary, there was an unprecedented excitement in his heart, as if he was going to do something amazingly terribly bad with Lu Mu Yen. He didn't know why, but when it came to Lu Mu Yan's words, he actually felt a sense of unquestioning belief. He really was spending a bit too much time with this violent woman. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. Lu Mu Yen looked at him askance as if he were an idiot. You're the only one that'll lose face, it's got nothing to do with me. After a pause, she added, let's go quickly. Don't always think about playing dirty tricks, you still have to kill 7 Tier 5 demonic beasts to complete the mission. Xiao Ziong's forehead was full of creases. Was it impossible to speak nicely now? It was obvious that she wanted to play dirty tricks to prank people, so what did it have to do with him? Not to mention, could she not always mention the 7 demonic beasts situation and poke his sore spots? You guys that have finished the mission, will you be going back first, or follow us to prank people? A naughty smile rose on Lu Mu Yan's lips. Lu Mu Yen made it no secret that she was not a virtuous maiden, and she definitely wasn't a good person. But such a straightforward temperament just so happened to be something the others appreciated. Since Mu Yen is so confident, we naturally have to go and join in on the fun. Yun Lan revealed a light smile, and he couldn't help but feel that his heart was dyed with a layer of joy as he looked at the woman in front of him with her bright eyes, lively and adorable. Yun Jin loved to watch the excitement, so he blinked at Lu Mu Yen playfully and said with a smile, they can't touch demonic beast fur, but me, Ziong and Yi Xian's mission demonic beasts should be fine, right? He and Xiao Ziong's strength was at the bottom of the group, so they still had to kill 4 Tier 5 demonic beasts to complete the mission. Qi Yi Xian still had 2 more, while the others had all completed their missions. Naturally. At the same time as making trouble, it's also for you guys to quickly complete your missions. Lu Mu Yen rolled her eyes at Yun Jin. He could even ask such a stupid question. Sure enough, after spending a long time with Xiao Ziong, his IQ was also dragged down. Lu Mu Yen, you're sure loyal. When we return to the imperial capital, your brother, I will look after you. Xiao Ziong wanted to reach out to hang his arm around Lu Mu Yan's shoulder to express that they were good brothers, but was deliberately blocked by Qi Yi Xian. Let's go too and find the Tier 5 demonic beasts before them. Qi Xian said deeply. He felt very uncomfortable right now. He was delightedly surprised that Lu Mu Yen once again shocked and amazed him, and kept attracting his gaze, making his heart beat uncontrollably. But at the same time, he also hoped to hide her deeply so that she couldn't be coveted by other men. The Tier 5 demonic beasts marked on Yunlan's map had basically been cleaned up by them, and the few that were left were rather far away. Xiao Ziong couldn't help but ask again, while walking, how do we find Tier 5 demonic beasts without a map? Follow Yun Gu and the others? Then he immediately knocked his head and laughed, saying, that's right. We can follow them. The moment we encounter a Tier 5 demonic beast, we can just rush over and kill it first. Do you think Ji Han's Sword King cultivation base is just an accessory? Lu Muyen looked at Xiao Ziong wordlessly. Besides, what we want to do is play tricks on them, so naturally they need to personally watch how we don't leave a single fur for them. Do you think it's possible to do that if we try to snatch and kill the demonic beast after following them? Then what should we do? You must have some idea, right? Xiao Ziong saw the brilliance in Lu Muyan's eyes and knew immediately that this woman was plotting again. Luckily he wasn't her enemy, otherwise he really would be played to death. Lu Muyen raised an eyebrow and smiled in a dominating manner. That's only natural. Not only do I want them to be eliminated in the first mission, but I also want them to personally witness how we put all the mission items into our own pockets. Seeing her confident, gorgeous smile, all of them unanimously lit a candle 3 in their hearts for those who offended Lu Muyen. One common colloquial saying meaning they teammates not only useless but causes trouble for others. Two more colloquial sayings, this time is basically like how we say we liked a Facebook post or other social media posts. Pretty modern word, but you know it's a web novel. 3 lighting candles is usually done for the dead, or to pray and or bless someone, but in this case lighting candles is used to pray for them, hoping they don't die too badly since Lu Muyen really is going to prank them hard. They're pitying them for what they'll go through. Chapter 88. Lu Muyen playing dirty tricks. As they hurried along their journey, Lu Muyen released Mo Yen, who was cultivating in the spirit pet bangle. For that boring bet, you actually bother me when I'm cultivating? Mo Yan's indifferent eyes displayed a bit of displeasure. Although he didn't like to stay in the spirit pet bangle, but he could only endure it in order to not waste a single moment cultivating. Yet who knew that this woman would bother him for such trivial matters? Lu Muyen held Mo Yen in her arms and poked him on the back, telepathically saying, "Do you still want that pill refined from a Tier 5 crystal core? If you don't work hard, you want to take it for nothing?" Then she said twaddled on, "Don't you know this is also because I want to help you collect more crystal cores to refine into pills? Since you don't cherish it, then go back to your spirit pet bangle and continue to cultivate." Mo Yen took a deep breath. This woman really was good. There's a Tier 5 snow leopard 500 meters ahead of that group of people. Lu Muyan's eyes were full of smiles, and she continued poking at the soft and warm little beast in her arms. Now that's right, being tactful is the solid principle. Mo Yen didn't bother to talk to her anymore. After pointing the way, he just let Lu Muyen hold him as he closed his eyes to rest. With Mo Yan's precise instructions, Lu Muyen took Yun Lan and the others around to a small path and circled in front of Yun Gu and the others. Sure enough, after 500 meters, on a low mound, they found traces of a Tier 5 snow leopard. "What tray you 3 waiting for? First come first serve, don't you want to complete your mission?" Lu Muyen leaned on a big tree, pointed to the snow leopard not far away and looked at the 3 that hadn't completed their missions indolently. She had hunted and killed 10 initial phase Tier 5 demonic beasts already, and also gradually found that feeling of doing something to her heart's content. So it wasn't that she didn't want to help the 3 of them kill the demonic beasts, but she hoped that they would grow up on their own. The trial mission of slaying Tier 5 demonic beasts a level above them wasn't just a test for those who participated in the trial, but it was also to hone their combat skills and survivability. The 3 of them were dazed for a moment when they heard Lu Muyan's words, then 2 figures quickly dashed out and went straight for the snow leopard. Xiao Ziong, who was a half-beat behind, cursed, then also charged over quickly. The 3 men besieged and scrambled for that one snow leopard. In the end, it was Yun Jin who played a trick that caused the other 2 to be half-step slower when they were about to kill the snow leopard, and successfully scooped out the snow leopard's crystal core. He held it in his hands and waved it at Lu Muyen and the rest, a face of smugness. And it was at this moment that Yun Gu and her team also found this low mound. But when they saw the snow leopard's crystal core in Yun Jin's hands, their complexion wasn't very good. "Lu Muyen, didn't you say Thadio wouldn't let us even touch the fur of a Tier 5 demonic beast? Why is the person who killed the demonic beast my royal elder brother? Weren't you quite capable before?" Yungu saw that the person who slayed the snow leopard wasn't Lu Muyen, so her heart relaxed, and she couldn't help but ridicule. Lu Muyen sneered, "Did I ever say that I'll do it myself? Why should I bother exerting my mental effort when someone could exert themselves instead? I'm not as stupid as you." Yungu trembled with anger. Lu Muyen, that bitch, actually dared say she was stupid. It was truly unforgivable. Except she only got to say one word and was stopped by Ji Han Su behind her, whose brows were furrowed. Lu Muyen did only say that she wouldn't even allow them to touch a demonic beast, but she didn't say that she would do it herself. What's the use of arguing about these things now? He became more and more angry with Yungu within. Enough. Now isn't the time to argue. Let's hurry up and find the next Tier 5 demonic beast. No one in the two teams had completed their first trial mission yet. If they followed this trend, they could really be eliminated. Ji Han Su intensely regretted why he would team up with Yungu. The worries in Ji Han's heart, Yungu naturally thought of too. She sure didn't want to be eliminated in the first round of the trial mission, so she could only glare at Lu Muyen unwillingly and say ruthlessly, "Lu Muyen, just you wait. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks, I await your esteemed self one anytime." Lu Muyen chuckled nonchalantly. A character like Yungu couldn't even compare to Gu Yenran. She really didn't pay attention to her, and she didn't have time to play with her even more. If she wanted to cause trouble, then she'll just accompany her whenever necessary. The young man also glared at Lu Muyen. "Trash, just you want and see." Hearing the word trash, Lu Muyen's pretty eyes narrowed. In the following 2 days, a similar scenario was acted out in the boundary of the outer ring and inner ring in the glacial mountain range time and again. Just when the trial students of the two teams found a trail of their target Tier 5 demonic beast, Lu Muyen and her group would always be ahead of them one step, not more nor less, and every time the groups arrived, the demonic beast would always just happen to be slayed. Indeed, not a single fur was left for them. "Lu Muyen, have you played enough games?" Ji Han Su changed from his usual cheerful laughter to an expression that carried slight grimness as he looked at the dead demonic beasts on the ground. Lu Muyen wrapped her fingers around a strand of shiny black hair, raised an eyebrow and said, "Didn't your people let me do this? Of course it's not enough." "Lu Muyen, those two offended you, but we haven't. Isn't it too much of you to keep robbing our target demonic beasts?" The leader of the other group of students from the Empire Academy couldn't help but step forward and say. Lu Muyen tilted her head to look at Xiao Ziong and asked, "Did I kill that demonic beast?" "No, Yunjin killed it." Xiao Ziong shook his head cooperatively. Lu Muyen shrugged to the group of people not far away and said, "Did you hear that? The one who snatched your target demonic beast was Yunjin, so what's it got to do with me?" Both teams were all rather angered by that careless, unscrupulous tone. It was true that she wasn't the one who killed the demonic beasts. But making the connection with the powdered drugs from before that could make demonic beasts unable to move temporarily, prepared by Lu Muyen, they all concluded that it was definitely Lu Muyen's masterpiece for them to always, coincidentally, be that one step ahead in finding a Tier 5 demonic beast. Yunjin's eyelids couldn't help but twitch, and he didn't know whether to cry or laugh. Just who was the one who ordered him to go fight before? "Lu Muyen, do you really want everyone in our two teams to be eliminated?" Ji Han Su suppressed the anger in his chest and calmly asked as he looked at Lu Muyen. Lu Muyen swept across Ji Han Su with a look as if saying he was stupid, then said slowly, "I've got no grievances against you guys. Why do I want to eliminate everyone in your two teams? I'm betting with them, not you guys. Isn't it fine if you just don't follow them?" After hearing her say that, the rest also had a revelation, and they secretly blamed Yungu and the young boy. The two thought they were so amazing and wanted to gamble with Lu Muyen before, but now they were all being held back because of the two. Lu Muyen caught the looks on the people opposite, then reminded them kindly with a smile, "There's only 1 day remaining in the trial. You all better hurry up." Neither of the two teams could do anything to her, and they couldn't delay any more time even more. In order to complete the trial mission, they all regrouped, then quickly went to other places to look for Tier 5 demonic beasts. Ji Han-su also left Yun-gu, who was pestering him, quickly leaving with the other 2 members of the imperial family. They didn't have a lot remaining to complete the mission, so there was still hope to complete it in a day. According to Mo Yan's prompt, there weren't many Tier 5 demonic beasts within the few thousand li nearby, and those that were left were all at advanced phase or peak phase Tier 5 strength. These people would still have a fierce battle left to fight. With Yun-gu and the young man's strength, the possibility of hunting down Tier 5 demonic beasts individually was practically zero. Lu Muyen also lost the interest to continue playing with Yun-gu and the boy. Xiao Ziong and the other 2 had also completed their missions, so there was no need for them to continue into the inner rings border anymore. The best translation I could give for the words, Dejia, as of now. It literally translates to large carriage and figuratively is used to refer to someone powerful in status, or simply to be polite by referring to them as, and is often used as, meaning we are honored by your presence. It can also be used figuratively to refer to the emperor, amongst many other words. In this case, Lu Muyan saying great self sarcastically. Note, I've been changing some terminology recently. Nothing big, but I did change Imperial Academy to Empire Academy recently. I can't remember if I changed anything else, and I don't remember if I mentioned everything I changed. But these terminology changes are on purpose, huh? To make it consistent, I also go back to the previous chapters and change it all, unless I miss some accidentally, so it's possible some terminology might be different to what you remember. It's not the author changing it, it's me changing the translation to better suit the Chinese terms. I'm bored like that, and maybe it's the tiny perfectionist in me, huh? If it is the author changing something or there's typos, if it's major, I might note it. If it's not that major, I might just translate it and not feel like making a note. I made a bunch of edits already and I don't think I mentioned every single one, so yeah. Sorry if there's confusion though. Chapter 89. Second mission. The 2 teams just now came quickly and went quickly. Not even a cup of tea's worth of time later, only Yun-gu and that young boy were left. Lu Muyen snapped her fingers and addressed Yun-jin and the others. Let's return and hand in the mission. Xiao Ziong's eyes swept across the 2 people whose expressions were exceptionally ugly and asked, Muyen, we're not going to compete with them anymore? Lu Muyen glanced at him faintly. Do you think they can deal with a Tier 5 demonic beast with their strength? Xiao Ziong looked at the 2 again. They were both sword spirit strength, so he shook his head. Naturally, it's impossible for the 2 to deal with Tier 5 demonic beasts. He was an advanced phase sword spirit, but when he was slaying the 10 Tier 5 demonic beasts earlier for the mission, he used items like pills, spirit treasures, talismans and the like that he had on him. From time to time, he even had to rely on Lu Muyen and the others to barely be able to complete the mission. As for the 2 opposite, if they were to rely on their own strength, they definitely wouldn't be able to complete the mission. Exactly, so why waste time with them here? Lu Muyen walked towards a small path with Mo Yen in her arms, then made a hand gesture to the others. Let's go and hand in the mission. All right. Yun Lan and the others also ignored the existence of Yun-gu and the boy and left together. With tears of grievance and resentment in Yun-ge's eyes, she took a deep breath and said to the young man beside her, We're just going to let them go like this? Otherwise, what do we do? The 2 of us aren't their opponents at all. The young boy had always been the master of deceiving good and fearing evil. Even if he secretly despised in his heart right now, he didn't dare cause trouble for Lu Muyen in front of her. After he returned to the imperial capital, he had many ways to find the ground he lost today. Yun-gu stomped her foot and glared at Lu Muyen's back that had long disappeared, then turned around and headed in the direction Ji Han-su went. She was also considered an expert when she was training in the Empire Academy's secret grounds, but only after entering the glacial mountain range did she realize she was, in actual fact, the very bottom of existence, and could only rely on Ji Han-su. So if she didn't want to be eliminated, she could only go find Ji Han-su. The young man gritted his teeth and followed in Yun-ge's footsteps to find Ji Han-su and the others together, but in his heart he had the decision to give up the trial. With his strength, it would be as hard as climbing the heavens if he wanted to seize one of the 6 places of the trial. Lu Mu Yen took the few people around waves after waves of demonic beasts, and it took only half a day to return to the wooden hut for the trial mission. Mu Yen, your fire cloud mixture is really powerful. Not only can it find spiritual stones and spiritual herbs, it can also help avoid demonic beasts at least hundreds of meters away. It was really worth that much ink gold coins back then. Yun Jin couldn't help but sigh with mixed emotions the moment he entered the wooden hut. Lu Mu Yan's eyes were truly sharp. She could even see the potential in such a spirit pet. She was truly abnormal. A smile rose on Lu Mu Yan's lips and she stretched out her hand to smooth Mo Yan's fur who was in her arms. That's only natural. How can me spirit pet be lacking? Xiao Ziong rolled his eyes. Lu Mu Yan, I've discovered that you really don't have any of the reservations that girls have. So what? Lu Mu Yan raised an eyebrow. Why must she have the reservedness that girls should have? Even if I have a reserved side, I shouldn't show it to you. Then who you show it to? Xiao Xiong smiled like a curious little baby at Lu Mu Yan as he glanced at Qi Xian in his peripheral vision and found that he had stiffened. Upon hearing Xiao Ziong's question, Yun Lan and the others also curiously awaited Lu Mu Yan's answer. Lu Mu Yan took out a pot of spiritual tea and began to brew it. Her hand movements were elegant and methodical, and only after a while did she say slowly, "Of course I'll show it to my future husband." Lu Mu Yan, you really have no shame. Just look at how old you are and you're already thinking about your future husband. Xiao Ziong laughed aloud. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. Lu Mu Yan's beautiful eyes lightly narrowed at Xiao Ziong, causing him to shudder. He immediately shut his mouth. When this woman plotted against someone, it came in sets. It was best that he didn't offend her. Then what kind of husband does Mu Yan want to find in the future? Yun Jin approached Lu Mu Yan and asked with a smile. Lu Mu Yan was dazed for a moment. She seemed to have never thought about what sort of man she wanted as a husband in the future. In her past life, she was pursued by numerous men, as if schools of crucian carps in a river one, but there was no appearance of a man that could make her heart beat. She unconsciously rubbed the ice bangle on her wrist and a red figure surfaced in her mind. Then she chuckled and shook her head. Why did she think of that devilish man? Her originally confused eyes instantly regained their clarity, and she said with a light smile, "Who knows about things in the future? Let's talk about it when I meet someone who can make my heart beat for him." Her words were also equivalent to rejecting all the men present here. Although unintentional, but it had made the few, aside from Xiao Ziong and Lu Mu Bai, who were originally in high spirits, downcast. Lu Mu Yan had actually faintly noticed that Yun Lan and Yun Jin were both slightly interested in her, but she didn't feel any attraction to them, so it was impossible to accept them. As for Qi Xian, it was even more impossible. For a while, the atmosphere in the wooden hut was a little gloomy. Lu Mu Bai drank his tea as he stroked the blue and white porcelain teacup, the corners of his mouth curled up. His younger sister was just too outstanding. He didn't want to let her marry out so early either, though he wondered just who could be worthy enough for his younger sister who was like a pearl, like a jewel, in the future. Around an hour later, Yun Song walked in from outside the wooden hut. Seeing these people sitting inside, he wasn't surprised either. After examining their respective demonic beast corpses, he assigned the second trial mission to them. Wonderful! Congratulations for successfully completing your first trial mission. Yun Song's wrinkled old face revealed a rare smile. You don't need to wait for the others. You guys can just start the second trial mission. Then he distributed a list for everyone, filled with many words. After the several people read through the list, he said, "This is the mission list for each one of you. You must find at least 2/3 of the items to pass and advance to the next part of the trial. Less than 2/3, then you'll be eliminated and sent back to the imperial capital." Xiao Ziong stretched out his head and studied Yun Lan and Lu Mu Yan's lists, and found that they were all different. He raised his head and asked Yun Song, "Imperial teacher, why do we all have different mission lists to complete?" Of course your missions lists are all different. Although I said that you can still team up for the second trial mission, but I didn't say that your missions would be the same." Yun Song swept over them with a look of fun in his eyes, then said, "Originally, the duration of this mission is still 5 days, but you all have completed the first trial mission a day in advance, so it'll give you an extra day's time. 6 days later, return here to hand in your mission. Let me remind you that if you form a team to look for items on this list one by one, then at most you could only complete the missions of 2 people. So this mission tests your individual survivability and adaptive skills. Then doesn't that mean we can't form a team anymore?" Yun Jin furrowed his brows. "There's so many mission items on this list, and there's no marked map, so how do we find them? Whether you want to form a team or not is up to you, but it's only efficient if you complete this mission individually. So think about it yourself." Yun Song smiled profoundly. "As for how you'll search for the items on the paper, it all depends on your respective abilities. Otherwise, do you think it's that easy to obtain one of the 6 places? Alright, after you prepare, you can start your mission." As soon as Yun Song finished speaking, in a flash, he disappeared from the wooden hut. Lu Mu Yen held the mission list in her hands, and there was a smile brimming in the bottom of her eyes. The opportunity to individually go search for the deep orchid had come. At the same time, a man who wore a silver mask and flamboyant red clothes also took 2 people into the boundary between the outer ring and inner ring of the glacial mountain range. One pretty straightforward, Alatov men pursued Lu Mu Yen, an idiom that comes from a historical event. Note, Yay MXXLMY fans, including myself, will probably love the following few chapters. Just don't complain about their relationship developing too fast because I'm here all for that development. After Yun Song left, the several people looked at the mission list in their hands again, then exchanged glances. "Looks like we have to complete the missions separately." Lu Mu Bai placed his teacup down and put away the list. Yun Lan and the rest could only nod in agreement. It would be impossible to find so many items on the list without completing the missions separately. "Then he'll leave first. You guys be careful." Yun Luo stood up and said before leaving the wooden hut. Qi Yishen glanced at Lu Mu Yen deeply, and the hand that held the list tightened. Then he also stood up and said, "I'm leaving too. Mu Yen and you all, be careful. Let's go. See you all in 6 days. Everyone take care." Lu Mu Yen finished the tea in her cup, then stood up and said to the several people with a smile. Although Lu Mu Bai felt uneasy about his younger sister, but he also hoped that she could grow up independently. His eyes carried some encouragement. "Yenner, be careful on your way. If you encounter anyone or a demonic beast that you can't beat, then run. Your life is the most important." "Yep, elder brother too." Lu Mu Yen carried warmth in her eyes. "Mu Yen, be careful. Hey race, a signal flare of the imperial family. If something happens, you can release the signal and welcome as soon as possible." Yun Lan took out a small, black wooden box from his interspatial ring and handed it to Lu Mu Yen. Lu Mu Yen took the wooden box and nodded with a smile. "Elder cousin brother, you guys also need to be careful. It's really boring to do missions alone." Xiao Xiang said listlessly. Yun Jin patted him on the shoulder and said, "Brother, you take good care of yourself. Make sure not to be eliminated." "Alright, we're talking as if we'll be separated for a long time. I'm leaving too." Xiao Ziong sighed with a bit of reluctance in his eyes. But this was what they must experience. And he was afraid that if he continued to delay this, he wouldn't want to go out to complete the mission alone anymore, so he quickly walked out of the wooden hut. "Let's go too." Lu Mu Yen was also a bit affected by everyone's emotions. "Alright." 2 hours later, Lu Mu Yen entered a hillside blooming with fresh flowers. She walked over, looked around the densely packed flowers of various colors, then finally uprooted a small pink-yellow flower among them and put it away. Finished 1 mission item, still 19 more to look for. Lu Mu Yen left the hillside and said to Mo Yen in her arms. Mo Yan's indifferent eyes were as calm as water. "You can find it all in a day." Lu Mu Yan's eyes curved as she reached out her hand and rubbed Mo Yan's furry head, then said with a smile, "Your talent for finding spiritual herbs and spiritual items really is heaven-defying. After we finish finding the 20 mission items, I'll first find a place to help you refine the pill. Mo Yan's brows were knitted tightly together as he looked up at Lu Mu Yen unhappily and said, "Don't rub my head." He, a king that reigned over a portion of the demonic world, was actually being rubbed on the head by a human woman. If other demonic clans knew, wouldn't he be laughed to death? Rubbing your head shows intimacy. Since we're life and death partners, it's just rubbing your head, what does it matter? Mo Yen, sometimes you're really quarrelsome. Lu Mu Yen pursed her lips. She definitely wouldn't admit that it was because Mo Yan's furry head felt too good that she couldn't help but want to touch it. Mo Yen took a deep breath. Lu Mu Yen really evoked a lot of emotions that he hadn't felt for many years. He told himself inwardly not to argue with this woman. In the glacial mountain range, there was a white silhouette that whizzed and darted about, with speed comparable to even a Tier 4 flying-type demonic beast. After Lu Mu Yen advanced to Sword Spirit Master, the Silk Mist steps that's a part of her Flash Step manual had become a slight burden. So she utilized a faster footwork within the Flash Step, drifting towards the position indicated by Mo Yen. It seems that I should contract a flying-type demonic beast as a mount. Using Flash Step nonstop really wastes a lot of spiritual energy. After putting the 15th mission item into her interspatial ring, Lu Mu Yen muttered to herself. Mo Yen wasn't too shocked by Lu Mu Yan's ghostly skills anymore. Instead, he felt that no matter what amazing things this woman did, it was all normal. He also agreed with her thoughts. Your skills that can move and change steps is more suitable for combat. Using it for travel wastes too much energy and the speed's much slower than that of a demonic beast. Contracting a flying-type demonic beast sounds good. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks, then you pay attention. If there's a demonic beast that's not that bad, well, up and get it. Lu Mu Yen couldn't help but rub Mo Yan's furry head again. Mo Yen lowered his eyes to hide the helplessness in them. Forget it, hell, just let this woman do as she liked. Alright, keep going, the ice serpent fruit should be in that mountain. Mo Yen probed the area using his innate talent calmly, then said as he looked towards the ice mountain in the far east. Lu Mu Yen took out a bottle of elemental energy replenishing pills. She didn't rest and utilized her Flash Step straight towards the ice mountain. Half a day passed, and Lu Mu Yen clutched a green fruit as she ran, in a rather sorry state. The roar of demonic beasts echoed from behind incessantly. Only after the demonic beast auras behind her gradually distanced and disappeared did she leap onto a big tree to recover her strength, gasping. After taking an elemental energy replenishing pill, she put the green fruit into her interspatial ring and said to Mo Yen with lingering fear, "Just now it was all thanks to your pressure as a royal species that stopped them for a few breaths, otherwise it would have been dangerous today." They also encountered a lot of demonic beasts guarding when searching for the mission items, but she easily obtained them. Except, when they were looking for the last mission item, they attracted 4 Tier 5 demonic beasts to attack, and one of them was even a late-stage Tier 5 mammoth. She used a lot of methods, plus Mo Yen releasing his innate talent once, to be able to shake off those demonic beasts. I believe that even if we couldn't shake them off, you'd still be able to take care of them. Mo Yen stood on Lu Mu Yan's shoulder and spoke calmly. Lu Mu Yen rolled her eyes at him. "I can take care of them, but maybe I'd have to use my trump cards. I sure do want to see just what trump cards you have left." Mo Yen just saw Lu Mu Yen use another skill he hadn't seen before, and his curiosity grew even deeper. Lu Mu Yen raised an eyebrow. "You want to know? I won't tell you." Mo Yan's dark eyes deepened. He was already accustomed to the little temper that this woman occasionally exposed. He didn't answer, closed his eyes, and began to rest. Lu Mu Yan's lips curved up and didn't say any more either. After setting up an array to hide her aura, she took a pill to recover. For hours later, she opened her eyes and poked the little white beast lying in front of her. "I've recovered, Mo Yen, let's go find a place to refine pills. Let's go find the deep orchid you want first. You can refine pills anytime." Mo Yen opened his eyes and said lightly. Lu Mu Yen thought a bit, then nodded. "That's fine too. Have you detected the deep orchid's aura?" "Not the deep orchid's aura, But I did find the demonic beast, the Scarlet Frost Jiao one that's guarding it. It's a 2 hours journey to the west. Let's go. After Mo Yen finished speaking, he leapt onto Lu Muyan's shoulder and closed his eyes to rest again. Lu Muyan's eyes were filled with joy. Was she finally going to find it? 2 hours later, Lu Muyan stood near a deep lake wound in green mist with furrowed brows as she observed her surroundings. Someone's coming. Mo Yan's voice suddenly resounded in her sea of consciousness. At the same time, a mental energy locked onto her location. The other party had already discovered them, and it was too late to escape. Alertness flashed across the bottom of Lu Muyan's eyes, and she turned to look towards the woods not far away. Not long afterwards, she saw 3 people walk out of the woods. The leader amongst them was tall, wore a silver mask, and his red clothes billowed in the wind, flamboyant and uninhibited. Ming Xiu's eyes were dyed with a layer of a smile, and he looked at the gorgeous, stunning, white-clothed woman opposite him as his thin lips opened. "Woman, we meet again." For some reason the author really likes the word, red/crimson. She named the Jiao, the Cold Mist Jiao, in chapter 85, and now she's naming this Jiao the Scarlet Cold Jiao. Which reminds me of what I translated before, Qihua Continent, uses the same qi. I thought the one in this chapter and Qihua Continent are both typos, but for once I'm translating ahead and she keeps using Scarlet Frost Jiao. Which makes me remember that she has changed the names of previous demonic beasts too, and she stuck with the changed name instead of the original, so most likely this Jiao is stuck with Scarlet Frost Jiao now. As for Qihua Continent, that's most likely a typo. I'll fix it up when I have to eventually. Now, why do I get the feeling it's the name of a continent in one of her other series? Or a kingdom in one of her other series? Can't remember now. Chapter 91. How about being your man? When she saw that the person who walked out was Ming Xiu, Lu Muyan was inexplicably relieved, and when she heard the other party's magnetic voice again, her lips curled up into an arc. Ming Xiu. Lu Muyan said the 2 words lightly, wondering why this guy came here. "Woman, what are you doing here?" Ming Xiu walked until he stopped in front of Lu Muyan and looked at her with deep eyes. Lu Muyan chuckled, raised her eyes, and said, "And what tray you doing here?" Hearing Lu Muyan speaking to Ming Xiu in such a way, the middle-aged man who followed couldn't help but reveal slight shock. Master had never been so friendly to anyone before. Meanwhile, the eyes of the other enchanting woman were cold and unkind. "Take a guess." Ming Xiu leaned closer to Lu Muyan and his warm breath hit her ears. Lu Muyan's eyes darkened and didn't avoid him as she stared directly at the flamboyant and domineering man. For the Scarlet Frost Jiao, or for the Deep Orchid? A devilish smile rose on Ming Xiu's lips, and their breaths intertwined. His long and thin eyes narrowed slightly. What if this highness wants both? This woman actually came to this place, then it must be for the Deep Orchid. Lu Muyan stretched her hand out and poked Ming Xiu's sturdy chest, pushing him a step away, then said calmly, "I want the Deep Orchid." An initial phase sword spirit cultivation base sword master also wants the Deep Orchid? What a joke. The enchanting woman behind sneered, her tone carrying thick contempt. It was because she relied on her status as Ming Xiu's right guardian that she could ridicule this beautiful girl that she found extremely unpleasing to the eye. Her master had never liked being close to others and kept at least 3 feet away from anyone, yet who knew that he would be so intimate with a little girl that suddenly appeared from nowhere? A sense of crisis rushed up to Mo Lan's heart. Lu Muyan's gaze shifted to the enchanting and bewitching woman, but didn't directly reply, then immediately retrieved her gaze, raised an eyebrow, and looked at Ming Xiu, saying, "Your dog's barking." "What did you say?" Mo Lan's enchanting face suddenly changed. The pressure of a sword monarch was fully exerted, and she pressed it towards Lu Muyan. Lu Muyan's eyes chilled. Was it that now everyone wanted to squish her like a soft peach one? Just when she was about to mobilize a mental energy tempest within her sea of consciousness, she saw the man before her gently wave his sleeve, and that pressure instantly disappeared. He didn't even look at the woman behind him as he uttered some cold words. "Emalan, go to the criminal law hall yourself for 3 months. Master! Lan's eyes were full of disbelief. She bit her lip and addressed aggrievedly. 1 year. Go yourself. Ming Xiu turned and looked at Lan with a cold expression. The grievances in Lan's heart expanded infinitely. Master had never punished her to go to the criminal law hall, and yet this time he actually punished her because of that little bitch. Just when she wanted to speak, she was stopped by the middle-aged man beside her. You know Master's temper. If you say any more, you won't just be going for a year. The man whispered to Lan. There was reluctance in Lan's eyes. She raised her head and looked at Ming Xiu, but her heart trembled from the dissatisfaction in that pair of cold eyes. It seemed that Master was really angry. Master's temperament was really impermanent, sometimes devilish, sometimes cold, sometimes gentle. She didn't know which was the real him at all, but once he was angry, whoever dared to disobey, they definitely wouldn't end well. Lan obeys. Lan retrained the insidiousness in her eyes, lowered her head and replied respectfully. Ever since she started following Master, she had adored him. She only wished that one day too he would have her in his heart, and even take her as his wife. So she couldn't tolerate any woman getting close to Ming Xiu. She remembered that woman in her heart, and one day, she would definitely make her die without a grave. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks, go. Ming Xiu furrowed his brows and the devilish smile had long disappeared, replaced by a cold look. Lan pinched her palm tightly. She didn't want to leave. She raised her head and looked at Ming Xiu, her eyes watery and aggrieved, saying, Master, after the matters at the glacial mountain range is finished, Lan will go back to be punished. No need. Go now. Currently, Ming Xiu truly despised the deep adoration in Lan's eyes to the extremes. There was no need for a guardian who didn't know her own place to continue to be by his side. But, Piu. Lan wanted to argue again, but with a casual swing of Ming Xiu's arm, she was struck back by a powerful elemental energy wave, and a mouthful of blood spurted out. Get lost. Ming Xiu's patience had almost been exhausted. He could already be considered indulging Lan, but he didn't allow her to have any inordinate ambitions. Especially that insidious gaze cast towards Lu Mu Yen. It made killing intent rise within him. Lan obeys. Lan clutched her chest in terror, then said, unreconciled, and left. After turning around, her enchanting face became distorted, but she didn't bear grudges against Ming Xiu. Instead, she placed this debt all on Lu Mu Yen. When she came out of the criminal law hall, she would make sure that this woman would feel better off dead. Lu Mu Yan's mental energy was very powerful, so she naturally found the hostility and killing aura Lan had towards her, but she merely sneered in her heart. She raised her head and glared at Ming Xiu. It was all this guy's fault for attracting Rotten Peach Blossom 3 debt, yet what did it have to do with her? Although she wasn't afraid of that Lan, but she really was being innocently involved in all this. You sure could bear hurting her. Lu Mu Yen was upset, and her eyes carried a meaningful, profound look of ridicule. Ming Xiu's phoenix eyes grew deep, and an unprecedented anger rose in his chest. He hated this little woman looking at him with eyes that carried ridicule. He stretched out his hand and gently squeezed Lu Mu Yan's chin, brought his head closer until the tips of their nose almost touched and said coldly, Woman, you're not allowed to use that look to look at this highness. Why not? Who are you to me? Why do I have to listen to you? Lu Mu Yen sneered. No one had ever dared to squeeze her chin. Who? Ming Xiu pondered for a while, released the hand that squeezed her chin, then suddenly placed his lips on Lu Mu Yan's lips, but only a touch, before immediately leaving with eyes that carried dark, non-dissolvable ink. He spoke with an arrogant, domineering manner, his voice deep and sexy. How about being your man? He had always hated physical contact with people, and hated the rouge smell on women even more, but he didn't expect that when he approached this woman, there would actually be an urge to have a taste of her flavor. The result was, he found that the taste of a woman's soft, glutinous, warm lips was actually pretty good. Be my man. Lu Mu Yan's bright eyes were currently filled with obscure colors. She was actually kissed by this man. For the first time in her 2 lives was she treated like this by a man. As the spiritual world's female immortal, how could she allow herself to be so easily flirted with by a man? After a pause, she suddenly stretched out her hand and wrapped her arms around Ming Xiu's neck. Her red lips kissed his, but it also didn't linger long. When they parted, her lips revealed slight playfulness and she said, "It seems Monarch Ming's flavor isn't that good." After speaking, she turned and walked forward, but ripples rose in her originally calm heart. The gaze beneath Ming Xiu's mask deepened, and the sexy, thin lips rose into an exceedingly devilish arc. This woman sure was courageous, but she damnably matched his appetite. The original saying is soft persimmon, so when someone squeezes a soft persimmon it means they take them as weak and easy to bully. Here it seems the author wants to be creative and say soft peach? Too well, so I'm pretty sure, for some weird reason, they censored the word or, which means day, again. It happened last time in chapter who knows what, and it's happened again because I am certain that word fits in this context since it's something that everyone says one day this, one day that, etc. Why so specific? Haha, 3 peach blossom is often used to in many instances to describe love interests or love-related things. For example, to have peach blossom luck means that the person is lucky in love. In this case, to attract rotten peach blossoms, it means to have attracted unwanted love. For just looking at someone really, really, really deeply. Note, I warned you guys the development was rather fast. But oh my, I actually forgot that kiss happened, huh? And oh my, I forgot Lu Mu Yen returned the favor to him too, huh? XD more to comes. Chapter 92. His heart moved for her. Lu Mu Yen ignored Ming Xiu's complex gaze behind her that carried slight fervent flames. She walked to the edge of the wounding green mist and scrutinized it. This is the poisonous mist released by that frost jiao. I'll dissipate automatically after an hour. Ming Xiu stepped forward and stood shoulder to shoulder with Lu Mu Yen. Mo Yen on Lu Mu Yan's shoulder, with an enigmatic expression, looked at the devilishly captivating man in red who approached them. This man was very strong. This was the first thing he sensed about Ming Xiu. You want the Scarlet Frost Jiao's crystal core? Lu Mu Yen lowered her eyes, then said leisurely after a while. Both of them spoke nothing of what occurred just now, and each had their own plans. Ming Xiu replied indifferently, naturally. Ming Xiu, let's make a deal. Lu Mu Yen looked at Ming Xiu seriously. She had just learned from Mo Han that the Scarlet Frost Jiao hidden deep in the bottom of the lake had concealed its cultivation base using a secret skill. It was actually a tier 6 demonic beast and could be even more powerful. Now, even if she joined forces with Mo Yen, she would still be unable to fight a tier 6 demonic beast that was at the level of a sword monarch. At the very least, she wouldn't be able to slay it, let alone obtain the deep orchid. That's why she wanted to cooperate with Ming Xiu. Ming Xiu's eyes revealed slight interest and asked with a faint smile, "What sort of trade?" There was a faint guess in his heart. Your cultivation base already broke through to Sword Sovereign. The spirit cleansing pill that I gave you last time has little effect on you now. Let's work together. You kill the Scarlet Frost Jiao, it'll use its crystal core to refine a pill for you, and I can guarantee that its effect will be more than 3 times better than you refining the crystal core alone. Lu Mu Yen said with calm and composure. You want the deep orchid to refine a pill? Ming Xiu asked Lu Mu Yen instead of answering immediately. Lu Mu Yen didn't hide it and nodded. The deep orchid is very important to me. To be more precise, it's the pill that's made with the deep orchid as one of its main ingredients that's very important to me. What kind of pill? Ming Xiu was a little curious about which grade this woman's alchemy skills were at. Foundation establishment pill. You wouldn't know even if I said it. Lu Mu Yen paused, then continued, but if you can help me obtain the deep orchid, I can give you one. Its effect is similar to the marrow cleansing pill, but it's a more advanced pill. It's effective even for people with sword monarch strength and above. The effect is similar to that of the marrow cleansing pill. There's an even more heaven-defying pill. Even if Ming Xiu had extensive experience, he had never heard of the foundation establishment pill before, but he believed this little woman's words. The Foundation Establishment Pill was actually a pill used by immortal cultivators to advance to the Foundation Establishment stage. It could wash the marrow, cleanse the body, and expand the meridians. The most important effect was that it helped a cultivator to establish their foundation. Of course, not every cultivator who took the Foundation Establishment Pill was able to successfully establish their foundation. With any pill, they only played a support role. The meditation stage and the foundation establishment stage were definitely both watersheds for cultivators. But almost none of the sword masters on Tianling continent had spiritual roots. So they couldn't establish foundations and could only use it to wash their marrow and expel all the impurities that were once hidden in their bodies. The Foundation Establishment Pill does indeed have this effect. You're now at the strength of a sword sovereign. Although it won't help you expand your meridians by many-fold, but it can at least still be able to cleanse all the meridians in your body and flush out all the negative energy impurities. Lu Muyen looked at Ming Xiu with a deep gaze. In fact, you're the one that's at the advantage in this trade. Just say yes or no. You've already said all that, so does this highness still have any reason to reject? Ming Xiu let out a low laugh. This kind of pill moved even his heart as he listened. He sure didn't know what other skills this woman had. She was like a book. With every page he opened, it would pleasantly surprise him. He really was looking forward to flipping through this book page by page. Meanwhile, the middle-aged man who stood behind the two of them had completely frozen, and his expression was as if he had seen a ghost. Just what did he see just now? Master, who had always been avoidant of females as if he were afraid he couldn't evade them, actually leaned down to kiss that young girl. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. Then hearing the conversation that the two didn't avoid speaking in front him, the shock in his heart couldn't be calmed for a long time. That woman was actually the alchemist that refined the marrow cleansing pill that was currently being spoken of everywhere, and she could even refine a pill that sword monarch strength people could use to remove impurities. This was simply too unbelievable. And looking at Master's reaction, it was obvious that he knew about it. No wonder he would look at this young girl differently. It appeared that this woman was very special, hence why it attracted their master's attention. Otherwise, with Master's temperament, he wouldn't approach others on purpose simply to win them over. He sighed. It seemed that this time, Lan was over. If Master's heart truly moved for this woman, then he naturally wouldn't allow anyone to harm her. In the future, he better be more respectful to this woman. Maybe she would be their mistress too in the future. Of course, there's no reason to refuse. Lu Muyen smiled, her eyes curving. Then are we going to wait for the wounding green mist to disperse before entering? She found that hidden in this layer of green mist was extreme venom, and even if a sword monarch level expert inhaled it, they would be poisoned. No need. This highness naturally has a way. Ming Xiu unintentionally exuded a domineering attitude as if looking down upon the world. His inborn noble temperament always inadvertently made one feel respect in fear. As soon as his voice fell, Ming Xiu took out a black gem that emitted a fluorescent light. After channeling some elemental energy, the black gem instantly shone brightly, and a black circle of light enveloped him and Lu Muyen. Emogue, you stand guard outside and don't allow anyone in. Ming Xiu said lukewarmly. Yes, master. The middle-aged man replied respectfully. Ming Xiu naturally took Lu Muyen's hand and stepped into the wounding green mist. Mo Yen stared at the intertwined hands with an obscure expression. Lu Muyen felt her left hand being wrapped in a big, warm hand, and she fell into a slight daze. She lowered her eyes and looked at the hand held by Ming Xiu, but in the end, she didn't shake it off and let him pull her forward. Ming Xiu's lips rose into a slight arc and there was a slight smile in his cold, phoenix eyes. As soon as the layers of green mist touched the black circle of light, it would automatically scatter as if it had met its nemesis, and the toxins contained in the mist couldn't penetrate the black light circle either. That Scarlet Frost Jiao is releasing such a strong body venom, is it possibly advancing? After Lu Muyen stepped into the green mist, she felt a very small energy fluctuation that came from the deep lake in the distance. A touch of surprise flashed past Ming Xiu's eyes. With this little woman's cultivation base as a sword spirit, she could actually discover the energy fluctuations in the depths of that cold lake. It seemed that her mental energy had exceeded her cultivation base by a lot. Ever since their first encounter in the blazing mountain range, he had been slightly interested in her, and even inexplicably gifted her that ice bangle that had a special meaning behind it. After discovering that she was auctioning the marrow-cleansing pill at the auction, he asked people to collect recent information about her, then gradually he began to pay more and more attention to her, while she attracted his attention more and more as well. A thick layer of ink rose in Ming Xiu's deep, black eyes that were like a well. So it seemed that his heart had started moving for her long ago without even knowing when. Holding that petite, soft hand, Ming Xiu's heart felt as if it were inexplicably filled with something. For the first time, there was something that could affect his calm emotions, and he not only didn't feel dislike to this type of emotion, but even wanted to be filled more with it. He could see that the little woman only felt that he was special or was interested in him, but her heart had yet to move for him. But he wasn't in a hurry. He would slowly, step by step, take her beneath his wing, and let her, little by little, bloom only for him. Lu Mu Yen, being able to hold your hand this time means that you'll be this highness woman in the future, so don't even think about being able to break free for the rest of your life. Just to clarify, immortal cultivators is the term for the people who cultivated the path to immortality in Lu Mu Yan's previous world. Like how here they're called sword masters. They're not actually immortal, though eventually they will be if they continue cultivating OFC. Cultivators with a capital C refers to cultivators in the previous world as well. I think I need to do some fixing in terminology in previous chapters too. I'll do that later too, just to clarify in case people feel the word mistress implies a woman who has affairs with a married man, which unfortunately it does have that meaning, but formally it is the counterpart to master. I did a search and it's the only word that really fits, aside from madam, but In Chinese, the word is, which translates literally to main mother and just means master with the being an affix at the end with no real meaning. Anyways, I'll stick with mistress for this story, which means main and only wife. Note, XD, MX being so possessive already. Obs if our FL doesn't like it, she wouldn't let it happen either. And same, mogu, same, rather shocking indeed. And yay holding hands. Chapter 93, Cave Within the Cave. Step by step, the two approached the cold lake where the green mist was even denser. Wave after wave of special, cold elemental energy wind attacked them. Lu Mu Yen felt slight pain on her skin from the breeze. Just as she was about to mobilize her spiritual energy to protect her body, a sudden warmth came from the palm of her hand and spread around her body. That painful feeling instantly disappeared. Lu Mu Yen glanced sideways at Ming Xiu, whose expression she couldn't quite see clearly. The strength of this man was a mystery even to her. She could only feel that he was very strong. It's starting to advance. Ming Xiu looked ahead and said. Lu Mu Yen also felt the surrounding spiritual force of heaven and earth begin to swarm into the depths of the cold lake, violently swirling. But this was only just the beginning. With the fluctuation of energy from the advancement of the Scarlet Frost Jiao being so strong, its strength shouldn't be underestimated. You came to the glacial mountain range this time for it? Lu Mu Yen always felt that the reason Ming Xiu came to the glacial mountain range wasn't so simple. Ming Xiu took off the silver mask on his face, revealing that chiseled and handsome face as if having been intricately and precisely carved. His light red lips curled into a pleasant arc. Taking its crystal core is just in passing. When Lu Mu Yen saw the devilish man's face again, she couldn't help but be amazed at the exceptional beauty again. She concealed the fluctuations in her eyes and said, "You didn't happen to come to the glacial mountain range for the trial competition, did you?" But their low-end selection trial shouldn't have attracted Ming Xiu. Of course not. I came to the glacial mountain range for the heavenly frost golden crystal that's about to sublimate and take shape. Ming Xiu didn't conceal it either. Hearing that Ming Xiu replaced the words "This Highness" with "I," Lu Mu Yan's heart skipped a beat. Removing his honorific "This Highness" so that she and him were considered equal, Was this man showing her goodwill? And when she heard heavenly frost golden crystal, Lu Muyan's eyes flickered brightly. The heavenly frost golden crystal could only be formed in an iceberg at least 10,000 years of age. At first, it would be in a liquid form, which was a pale golden color. After it condensed into a spar, it would become a dark golden. It contained an indestructible energy with an extremely hard texture. It was one of the best main materials for refining natal magic treasures. Because the conditions for formation were very harsh, it must take more than thousands of years to crystallize. So it was even a rare spiritual item in the spiritual world, with one hardly found even in 1,000 years. Its price would also be sky-high. Who knew that it would actually be birthed in a land where spiritual items were so scarce? How do you know that it's about to sublimate? Lu Muyan asked curiously with a smile. A sword king discovered it by chance when he accidentally broke into an ice volcano. But that day, the heavenly frost golden crystal was guarded by a powerful demonic beast. He struggled with serious injuries and had to use a secret skill to escape. I rushed over when I got the news, Ming Xiao said as he pulled Lu Muyan forward. Lu Muyan's eyes revealed some understanding. The formation of ice volcanoes were extremely unique and rare. It would only be formed in 10,000-year-old icebergs. Underground, there birthed fiery, thick liquid that thawed the iceberg. It wouldn't erupt, but it would produce a lot of spiritual items, and was also one of nature's wonders. Did the 10 distinguished clans of the eastern region also receive the news? Lu Muyan suddenly remembered how the 10 distinguished clans inexplicably set the trial site at the glacial mountain range, plus Yi Qinghan's secret words, so it wasn't difficult to imagine that the trial was a kind of camouflage. A smile of admiration rose in Ming Xiao's eyes. This little woman was indeed intelligent. From the news of the heavenly frost golden crystal alone, she could guess the purpose of the 10 distinguished clans. The first one to obtain the news was precisely the 10 distinguished clans, and they also sealed the news. If it weren't that I just happened to be in the eastern region traveling, even if I received the news, I'd have arrived too late. You mean that other empires and big forces don't know about this news, or even if they knew, they'd arrive too late? Lu Muyan's eyes glowed with brilliance. If they didn't have the participation of those large entities, then maybe she'd also be able to obtain some heavenly frost golden crystal to use to refine her natal magic treasure with. Indeed. Ming Xiao saw the brilliance in Lu Muyan's eyes, then asked with a smile, "What? You're also interested?" Lu Muyan rolled her eyes at him and spoke with a firm tone. "Those who aren't interested in such spiritual items must be fools. I want to refine a magic treasure. If I use the heavenly frost golden crystal as the main material, then it'll definitely increase its quality by a few levels. I'm definitely going to join in on the fun." You can also refine tools? Ming Xiao couldn't help displaying surprise. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. Lu Muyan raised her graceful chin with a little look of confidence and pride. Of course. Who knew that I picked up a treasure? Ming Xiao liked this sort of appearance on this little woman tremendously. He chuckled and held Lu Muyan's hand tightly. Lu Muyan glanced at him, then huffed, "What does it have to do with you?" Although she insisted that on her lips, but her smooth, jade-white face was unconsciously dyed with a layer of pink. Ming Xiao couldn't help laughing aloud, but also stopped teasing her. Although it was fun to provoke the little wild cat, but now wasn't time yet. Boom boom. Suddenly, a great thunder sounded from the horizon, and lightning flashed by in the distance. It's actually facing a thunder tribulation and is about to transform. Lu Muyan's eyes revealed slight caution. Ming Xiao's eyes darkened, and he quickly pulled Lu Muyan towards the deep lake. "Go, let's kill it before it transforms." The two were extremely fast. With the black gem enveloping them, the green mist couldn't get close to them, so they flew into the cold lake without any obstacles and dived towards the bottom. Thunder and lightning shined brightly nonstop. A quarter of an hour later, the two dived to the bottom of the deep lake. There was a large cave entrance below, and after entering the cave, there was a very wide, open space. On the open space, some light purple spiritual herbs grew sporadically, and in the deepest part, there was another cave within this cave. Lu Muyan's eyes lit up when she looked at the few purple spiritual herbs that grew sporadically. These were the deep orchids. Roar! Hiss! Suddenly, two beast roars with a strong and powerful pressure came from the cave within the cave, and the whole cave shook. Lu Muyan and Ming Xiu exchanged glances and saw the surprise in each other's eyes. It seemed that a demonic beast was a step ahead and had hidden itself here, wanting to ambush the Scarlet Frost Jiao. The most important thing was that the demonic beast that lurked here could actually evade both their perceptions. It wasn't only strong, but it also definitely had some sort of hidden innate talent that could conceal its figure. You guys be careful. Although the demonic beast that ambushed the Scarlet Frost Jiao is only an advanced phase Tier 6 ice toad, but it's a mutant demonic beast. Not only does it have a hidden innate talent, but it also has a venom sac. You mustn't let the venom in its sac be sprayed on you, otherwise even if you don't die, you'd become handicapped. Mo Yen stared at the cave within the cave gravely, and informed Lu Muyan of the information he found. After listening to Mo Yan's words, Lu Muyan stared gravely ahead and reminded Ming Xiu, the one who ambushed the Scarlet Frost Jiao is a mutant toad that has a hidden innate talent and also deadly venom. Be careful after entering. You mustn't be sprayed with the venom from its sac. Ming was curious, how did this little woman know the abilities of the demonic beast inside? When he glanced at the little white beast standing on Lu Muyan's shoulders, an understanding crossed his eyes. At first glance, he also regarded it as a fire cloud mink, but he always felt that something wasn't right. Just now, the little beast sent out a very slight fluctuation of mental energy used for probing that he discovered, and he just happened to know this kind of mental energy. It was precisely the king-class demonic beast, the spirit devourer species' innate talent. At this time, he had to admire Lu Muyan in his heart. This little woman's eyes sure were sharp. Boom boom. Fierce roars and fights resounded from the cave within the cave. Let's go take a look as well. After Ming Xiu finished speaking, he held Lu Muyan and flew into the cave within the cave and added a circle of elemental energy shield around her for protection. Note, all wishy blushed. Chapter 94, Ming Xiuax. Before entering the cave within the cave, Lu Muyan swept away all the deep orchids on the ground outside. The two demonic beasts were currently fighting, so they wouldn't bother with the spiritual herbs. After entering the cave within the cave, what entered their sight was a colossal, azure-blue Scarlet Frost Jiao with two front claws, sweeping its tail against a giant toad before it. The toad's reaction speed was also very fast, and with only a few leaps, it avoided the Jiao's tail sweep. The two protruding cheeks on its face expanded and shrunk, then it opened its big mouth, spraying a yellowish-brown liquid. A series of thunder and lightning sounded, directly blasting a gap in the cave. The lightning flashes and thunder instantly struck the Scarlet Frost Jiao's body. It just so happened that the yellow liquid also flew at it, and being unable to avoid it, the Jiao's tail was hit by the liquid, immediately corroding several bloody holes. Hiss hiss. The Scarlet Frost Jiao hissed loudly in pain, but the thunder and lightning in the air didn't restrain. Instead, it slammed down even more quickly and fiercely. That toad was also very cunning. Each time, before the thunder and lightning struck, it would dodge a certain distance, and use the moment the Scarlet Frost Jiao was facing the thunder tribulation to spray its yellow liquid in a sneak attack. After Ming Xiu and Lu Muyan entered the cave, both demonic beasts discovered their existence. The Scarlet Frost Jiao displayed joy in its eyes. It had to overcome this thunder tribulation while dealing with the toad, so it had absolutely no possibility of winning. With the participating of these two humans, it potentially dragged it on and let itself successfully overcome the thunder tribulation. Meanwhile, the ice toad looked at the two of them vigilantly and uttered human words. Humans, this king and this Scarlet Frost Jiao are resolving some grudges. You can leave quickly and avoid death. Ice toad, what grudges do I have with you to resolve? You are just a despicable and shameless being. The Scarlet Frost Jiao had just finished receiving a strike from the thunder punishment, then spoke human words, ridiculing it, and its voice was actually a female's. Lu Muyan's eyes revealed slight surprise, so it appeared that this Scarlet Frost Jiao was a female. Humans, get out immediately, otherwise this king will kill you all first. The ice toad said, looking at Lu Muyan and Ming Xiu fiercely. Huh, just with you, a toad one? Ming Xiu chuckled, with bare disdain in his eyes. The ice toad was angered. You're looking for death. It opened his mouth, and a stinking yellowish-brown liquid spouted from its mouth, shooting directly at the two. Ming Xiu let out a cold huff, put one hand around Lu Muyan's waist, tapped his foot casually and easily avoided the spray of venom. Hiss hiss. The intensity of the lightning grew stronger and stronger, and the Scarlet Frost Jiao was bombarded time and again onto the ground, but each time it survived, the Jiao skin would begin to fall off, and there was even a protrusion on the top of its head. Seeing that the Scarlet Frost Jiao was about to pass the Thunder Tribulation and transform into a Jiao dragon, the ice toad stared obscurely at a stone deep within the cave. Then it turned its head and sprayed more than 10 streams of venom towards Ming Xiu and Lu Muyan. Just when the Scarlet Frost Jiao faced the Thunder Tribulation again, it suddenly made a squatting posture, and with a spring, it landed on that giant rock. It smashed the rock with one claw, and a white, fluorescent Jiao egg was exposed. You dare! The Scarlet Frost Jiao, who was receiving the Thunder Tribulation, yelled when it saw that the toad's target was indeed the Jiao egg that she birthed. It turned around, foregoing the Thunder Tribulation, and opened its mouth to bite towards the toad, allowing the rolling Thunder Tribulation to land directly on its body. Hiss hiss. Because she removed a part of her energy in order to attack the toad, the Scarlet Frost Jiao was struck by the Thunder Tribulation, and a large bloody hole was torn in its Jiao body. But it still endured the pain and ferociously bit towards the toad. This was a mother. Even if it failed to pass the Thunder Tribulation, it must protect the safety of the child that she birthed. The ice toad had long expected it to be like this, so it grabbed the Jiao egg with its claws and made a pose as if to throw the egg. Scarlet Frost Jiao, if you dare bite down, then this king will shatter the egg. The little Jiao in this egg hasn't fully formed yet, so this fall will undoubtedly kill it. You better think about it clearly. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks, Ice Toad, you're despicable. The Scarlet Frost Jiao retrieved the mouth it was about to bite down with and raised its head, wailing in agony. Then the last Thunder Tribulation struck its head, and blood flowed down its giant head. Because it was not in the mood to receive the previous 2 Thunder Tribulations and withdrew her power to deal with the toad, its demonic crystal was bombarded by the Thunder Tribulation until it was exceptionally dim. For the last Thunder Tribulation, it didn't use its all to withstand it either, so it also heralded the failing of the Thunder Tribulation. Lu Muyan watched the Scarlet Frost Jiao who had failed the Thunder Tribulation, its whole body scorched black by the thunder and lightning, weak, and yet it still pushed itself to block the ice toad from exiting the cave. Leave the Jiao egg, otherwise we die together. The Scarlet Frost Jiao had failed to pass the tribulation, so its life was slowly waning, and it wasn't left with much time. Its eyes were fierce, planning to die with the toad. The ice toad croaked a few times and said with a sinister smile, "You still want to stop this king, being practically half dead? You truly are dreaming. After this king refines this Jiao egg, this king can pass the tribulation and transform, which can be considered fulfilling your wish." Hiss hiss. The Scarlet Frost Jiao looked at the smooth, white egg reluctantly, then quickly burned the demonic energy within its body. It would rather explode and die with the ice toad than see its child being refined. Looking at the scene in front of her, Lu Muyan felt a little touched. The act of the Scarlet Frost Jiao rather giving up passing the tribulation to protect its Jiao egg made it so that she simply couldn't stand by and watch. Ming Xiu, let's kill that toad. If that despicable and shameless demonic beast really successfully passes the tribulation and transforms, it would be a great calamity. Ming Xiu also extremely despised the ice toad's behavior of stealing the egg while the Scarlet Frost Jiao was receiving the tribulation, so he nodded, "All right. The ice toad sneered at the conversation between the two of them. It had never placed any importance on either of the two humans at all, so now it was as if he had heard the funniest joke. The two people actually wanted to kill it. They truly were indulging in the wildest fantasy. "Those who block me die." The ice toad roared. Its body suddenly grew several times larger, and the pattern on its body grew deeper. It opened its mouth wide, and another mouthful of yellowish-brown liquid sprayed out. Except this time, it wasn't a stream of liquid, but instead countless shattered drops, attacking Ming Xiao and Lu Mu Yen. Ming Xiao's eyes grew colder. A fiery red shield rose from his hand and grew in size, blocking the liquid outside. He placed Lu Mu Yen in a place far from the battle location, and, holding a giant golden sword, he slashed down in the air. A violent elemental energy sword aura flew out, slashing straight towards the toad. The toad's eyes revealed some shock. Obviously, it didn't expect this human to emit such a powerful sword aura. It mobilized the demonic energy within it, mixed it with venom, and sprayed out a yellow beam of light to directly greet the golden sword aura. Boom boom. The energy released by the one human one beast exploded within the cave. The cave shook constantly, and countless rubble fell. After the dust dissipated, the remaining yellow beam of light was blocked by Ming Xiao's fiery red shield, then disappeared completely, while the golden sword aura chopped off one of its front legs. Croak croak. There was slight fear in the ice toad's eyes. It didn't expect that this quiet human actually hid his cultivation base. His strength was a major level above itself. So it grabbed the Jiao egg, mobilized its demonic energy, and wanted to eject itself out from the cave entrance. Put down the Jiao egg. The weak and dissociating scarlet frost Jiao that was burning its demonic energy instantly let out a burst of energy. Its Jiao tail swept violently, and the toad that was approaching the entrance of the cave was heavily shot down onto the cave wall opposite. But it also seemed to have exhausted all its strength as its entire Jiao body collapsed to the ground, only barely maintaining its last breaths to stare, intensely, at the Jiao egg in the toad's claws. 1-inch Chinese, author used a more colloquial version of toad, Laihama, but there's no real equivalent to that in English. However, toad can also be slang for a contemptible person or thing in English, which is basically what they're saying in Chinese too. And random note, this Chinese word is the word used in the very popular saying you see in cultivation novels. A toad lusting for swan meat XD, Laihama Xiang Qi Tian Ro. Chapter 95. Self-detonation. The ice toad sprung out of the wall, and its body suddenly became smaller and smaller. It glanced at the Jiao egg in its claws grimly, then toughened its heart and threw it as its body immediately shrank to the size of a palm. Its entire body also slowly faded, finally becoming transparent as if it had disappeared in this space. Seeing the Jiao egg flying towards a wall, almost smashing into it, the scarlet frost Jiao roared and struggled, wanting to rescue it, but it was a pity that its body was injured in the roots by the thunder of the tribulation and its demonic energy was all exhausted, so it could only move a few steps before collapsing to the ground, looking at the Jiao egg with extreme grief. Then, a white silhouette flashed about, and quickly landed beside the wall that the Jiao egg was about to smash into. A slender, jade hand reached out and caught the fluorescent white egg. The scarlet frost Jiao was relieved upon seeing this, but at the same time, watched the human woman who held her Jiao egg vigilantly. Ming Xiao's phoenix eyes narrowed, and a strong elemental force was channeled into the golden longsword. With a blow towards the entrance of the cave, the sword aura instantly bombarded the gravel on the floor. Several cracks spread across the ground. Boom! The sword aura slashed the air, and when it was about to reach the entrance of the cave, it sliced off a hind leg of the ice toad that had concealed itself. Croak croak! The ice toad collapsed to the ground and rolled over in pain as it revealed itself, displaying infinite horror in its eyes. This human was too strong. Even if it transformed, it might not necessarily be his opponent. Human, stop. As long as you spare my life, I'll let you order about. In order to save its little life, The ice toad decided to bend down temporarily and wait to regain its strength again before attempting revenge. Ming Xiu retracted the golden longsword in his hands and turned his gaze to Lu Mu Yen. "Woman, what do you say?" "Kill." Lu Mu Yen hugged the Jiao egg and said chillingly, like spring water. This sort of despicable demonic beast would be an eyesore even as a slave. A layer of brilliance flowed through Ming Xiu's eyes. This little woman's decisiveness indeed didn't let him down. His woman did not need the excessive clemency of women. Resolute killing was the state of mind a cultivator should possess. Hearing Lu Mu Yan's words, the fake grievance in the ice toad's eyes changed to ferocity and viciousness. Using his last remaining legs, it hopped up and headed directly for Lu Mu Yen. When it was approaching, it opened its large mouth and sprayed an extremely stinking yellow liquid venom. This was venom essence, the most toxic venom he had. If this woman wanted it to die, then I'll drag her down together. Ming Xiu didn't expect the toad to change the target of attack, and his expression changed. He quickly condensed an icicle in his hands and, with a flick, it shot towards the toad. Except the icicle's speed was just a step behind the yellow venom. Seeing that the venom was about to fall on Lu Mu Yen, he shouted anxiously, "Woman, be careful." With a shifting step, he was prepared to step ahead. Lu Mu Yan's face was calm and composed, and her expression didn't change even when facing the yellow venom. A single finger beneath her sleeve kept changing forms. She closed her eyes, and then her red lips opened lightly. "Condense." Following her voice, a series of void talismans appeared in the air and intertwined quickly, turning into an intangible net, blocking in front of her. Because there was a large gap between the cultivation base of the Ice Toad King and Lu Mu Yen, the mental energy in her sea of consciousness also began to brew a tempest. A dense net composed of mental energy flew out of her body and fell behind the net made from the void talismans. The venom was sprayed onto the net made up of intangible void talismans, but the venom was too corrosive, so the talismans were corroded and dissipated bit by bit, while the remaining venom continued to spray towards her. Although the filtered venom wasn't as turbulent as it was in the beginning, but it still carried a stench and strong corrosiveness. If a human body was stained with it even just a little, even if they didn't die, they'd be harmed massively. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks, Poochie. The scattered venom fell on the dense net of mental energy, still highly corrosive. Then, the dense net suddenly shrank, enveloping all the venom within it and flew directly back towards the toad. The ice toad couldn't keep up in speed as its 2 feet had been sliced off, so it was nailed to a rock by the icicle shot by Ming Xiu. Just when it thought that the venom it spat would kill the woman, something it completely didn't think of shocked it. The venom wrapped in the dense net of inexplicable energy flew directly towards it. It urgently struggled, but Ming Xiu's icicle pinned it in place and couldn't be rid of. It could only watch as the venom poured down on its head from midair. Croak, croak. A few shrills sounded in the cave, and the dense mental energy net, after splattering all the venom onto the toad's head, collapsed automatically. Lu Mu Yan's lips curled up. This venom could indeed hurt the toad itself. What she did was called dealing with her opponent what they dealt with her, and let it also have a taste of this flavor. Only when Ming Xiu saw this, did the nervousness in his eyes gradually fade, and a devilishly handsome smile bloomed on his pretty face. This little woman's temperament truly suited his appetite. Not long after, the roar of the ice toad on the ground gradually diminished and finally disappeared. Its body also slowly stopped struggling and its aura was faint. Lu Mu Yen hugged the Jiao egg as she walked towards the Scarlet Frost Jiao's side. Seeing that it was dying, yet it still looked at the Jiao egg in her hand with affection and worry, her heart moved. She placed the Jiao egg in front of it and said, "Returned to you." The Scarlet Frost Jiao looked at the white-clothed woman before her in perplexity. Didn't they come for its Jiao egg? "You're a great mother," Lu Mu Yen said with a faint smile. The Scarlet Frost Jiao's act of willingly foregoing the tribulation in order to protect the Jiao egg touched her and made her feel respect. "Ming Xiu, let's go." At this time, Lu Mu Yen didn't want Ming Xiu to take advantage of this opportunity, when the Scarlet Frost Jiao was in danger, to slay and take its crystal core. It wasn't because she was kind, but because she felt that this demonic beast was worthy of their respect. Ming Xiu had no more intention of killing the Scarlet Frost Jiao either. He nodded and walked towards Lu Mu Yen. When he walked in front of the ice toad, he moved his finger, and the icicle instantly turned into a puddle of water. He didn't plan on taking the crystal core of the Scarlet Frost Jiao, but the demonic beast crystal core of a Tier 6 Toad King was still of some use to him, so he planned to retrieve the crystal core. Be careful! Lu Mu Yen suddenly felt a mental energy fluctuation and shouted urgently. Ming Xiu naturally noticed the fluctuations as well. His eyes grew cold, then he reached out his hand and grabbed. The toad that was meant to be dead was grabbed by him, and with a squeeze, a few mouthfuls of putrid, foul-smelling blood and venom instantly sprayed against the wall. You still want to struggle on your deathbed? Ming Xiu looked at the toad coldly. Only now did the toad's eyes display a look of despair. Who would have known that he had calculated for his entire life, only for it to be ruined in the hands of a human? He wasn't reconciled. Then his eyes suddenly burst with a vicious look. The demonic energy poured into his crystal core, and his body quickly expanded. Seeing the toad want to explode its demonic beast crystal core, but because of its hidden innate talent, Ming Xiu couldn't find the crystal core's location and therefore be unable to stop it, he instantly formed an ice ball in his hands, wrapped the toad with it, and threw it out of the cave. A layer of powerful elemental energy shield enveloped both Lu Mu Yen and the Scarlet Frost Jiao. Boom! A huge explosion sounded, accompanied by a yellow smoke, and the toad's body, together with its demonic soul and demonic crystal, withered away in this world. Chapter 96. Contract the Jiao Dragonic. Boom boom. The sound of the explosion reverberated in the cave within the cave that was affected by the energy of the toad's self-detonation. The cave outside instantly collapsed, and the cave within trembled incessantly as numerous rocks blocked the entrance. A very faint yellow smoke drifted into the cave within the cave, mixed together with the dust, making it difficult to detect. Lu Mu Yan's brows furrowed as she stared at the blocked entrance, then raised her head, looking at the ceiling of the cave where a hole was blasted open by the lightning, then asked Ming Xiu, "Are we going out from the top of the cave?" The location of the cave within the cave wasn't below the cold pond, and the sky above the cave was pitch black, so she didn't know where it led to. The passage outside the cave's already blocked. I know where the top of the cave leads to, so it's all right. Ming Xiu glanced at the hole casually and replied. The two walked together and prepared to go out from the top of the cave together, while the Scarlet Frost Jiao, whose aura was superficial now, bore pain in its eyes, then slowly looked up at Lu Mu Yen and said, "Wait." Lu Mu Yen turned her head and looked at the Scarlet Frost Jiao in surprise. "Need something? I beg you to take it with you." The Scarlet Frost Jiao touched the Jiao egg affectionately with her head, sentimental and reluctant to part with, but with firmness. Why? Lu Mu Yen was very puzzled. The Scarlet Frost Jiao had desperately tried to protect the Jiao egg before. Although its aura was weak right now, but as long as she protected her demonic crystal and continued to absorb the spiritual force of heaven and earth, it should survive until the being within the Jiao egg forms and breaks the shell. The Scarlet Frost Jiao sighed. "I can't protect it. The demonic beasts that covet it aren't just the ice toad. At most, I can survive until it breaks the shell, but I've already lost the ability to protect it." "Then why let me take it away? You're not afraid that it'll be harmful to it?" Lu Mu Yen raised an eyebrow. She wondered why a Jiao egg would attract the coveting of other high-level demonic beasts. She still remembered that the toad said that as long as it ate the Jiao egg, it could transform successfully. But under normal circumstances, the crystal core of a Tier 6 Scarlet Frost Jiao was much more valuable than an unformed Jiao egg. "I have no other choice. You just returned it to me, which proves that you don't have a bad nature. I believe that as long as you can take it, then you will definitely not mistreat it in the future." The Scarlet Frost Jiao paused, then with determination in her tone, "I'd rather let it be your spirit pet than for it to be seized by other demonic beasts for refining and never be able to reincarnate." Lu Mu Yen felt a deep maternal love for the Jiao egg from the Scarlet Frost Jiao. The faint fluctuation in the Jiao egg that she felt earlier when she touched it also made some softness rise in her heart. She thought for a bit, then with sincere eyes, "All right. I will definitely treat it as a partner." "Thank you." The Scarlet Frost Jiao's misty eyes revealed gratitude. It closed its eyes and nudged its head. A gentle force pushed the Jiao egg before it towards Lu Mu Yen. Lu Mu Yen took the Jiao egg with both her hands, pressed her lips, then bit her index finger. A drop of blood essence fell on the bright white fluorescent egg. Her 2 fingers formed seals in the air, and she chanted a spell. Then, a layer of warm light wrapped around the 1 person and 1 egg, and a spiritual energy contract seal talisman revolved around the Jiao egg a few times before instantly sinking into it. Immediately, it lit up brightly, and a white light shot out from the Jiao egg, shooting right into Lu Mu Yan's forehead. The contract was completed. I signed a contract of equals with it. It will not only be my spirit pet in the future, but also my life and death partner. Don't worry. In order to let the Scarlet Frost Jiao go in peace, Lu Mu Yen entered into a contract of equals with the Jiao egg in front of it. The Jiao egg is from the bloodline of the Scarlet Frost Jiao, so it could clearly feel the power of the contract. Its high-hung heart also settled down and once again said gratefully, "Human, a mere thank you is an insufficient response to such a huge favor. Let these things be considered a thank you gift for taking care of it in the future. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site." Thanks. After the Scarlet Frost Jiao finished speaking, it released a mental energy that shot directly towards the wall in the deepest parts of the cave. After a few sounds of rumbling, a crack appeared on the cave wall, and a pile of spiritual herbs and spars, along with dozens of demonic beast crystal cores, flew out and was placed in front of Lu Mu Yen. Lu Mu Yen swept the things on the floor with her eyes and nodded. "I'll accept your kindness, but I want to ask you a question." "Go ahead." "Why did that ice toad covet your Jiao egg? And based on what you said, there'll be other demonic beasts who want it." Lu Mu Yen had already contracted the Jiao egg, so she naturally needed to figure out the situation. The Scarlet Frost Jiao seemed to have anticipated Lu Mu Yan's question and said without hesitation, "Its father is a golden dragon that met with misfortune and fell onto this interface. After its injury recovered, he was forced to tear through space and leave. I initially wished that after I successfully passed the tribulation and transformed, our family could be reunited, but it seems that it's impossible now. That toad and a few nearby demonic beast kings know that its bloodline contained the golden dragon's bloodline, so they wanted to refine it." The Scarlet Frost Jiao sighed and added. Lu Mu Yan's eyes revealed some understanding. The golden dragon is a superior demonic beast species. The blood essence of the dragon clan was exceptionally precious. After refining it, it could advance one's cultivation base, and was indeed very attractive to other demonic beasts. "Leave now, the both of you," the Scarlet Frost Jiao suddenly said. Without waiting for Lu Mu Yan's response, it glanced at the Jiao egg in her hands with yearning and sentiment, then closed its eyes peacefully and poured the last trace of demonic energy into its crystal core. Then the Scarlet Frost Jiao's body gradually became transparent, and finally, together with the crystal core, turned into a blue light and flew into the Jiao egg. It left the essence of its entire life to its child. Lu Mu Yen rubbed the Jiao egg she was holding in her hand and felt a powerful energy merge with the little thing within the egg. Her face revealed slight softness. "Woman, let's go." Ming Xiu walked beside Lu Mu Yen, his handsome face revealing slight tenderness. Lu Mu Yen nodded, but her face changed the moment she looked up at Ming Xiu. She immediately grabbed one of Ming Xiu's wrists and probed it, then said with an inscrutable expression, "Are poisoned." Ming Xiu looked at Lu Mu Yen in surprise but knew that she wouldn't lie. He used his mental energy to probe the meridians in his body but didn't find any oddity. Just as he was about to speak, he felt a hot sensation spread all over his body. A fiery sensation continued to climb up from his lower abdomen, and at this moment, if he didn't know what poison it was, then being a man was useless. His deep, say-like eyes displayed a bit of silent endurance. He swept around and found that there were still a few wisps of yellow smoke near the edge of the sealed entrance. That damn toad. Ming Xiu immediately mobilized the ice attribute elemental energy to wash his entire body as he spit those words out fiercely. Lu Muyen followed Ming Xiu's gaze with hers, and when she found those wisps of yellow smoke, her brows furrowed together tightly. She knew that this was the poisonous gas that gathered in that toad's scrotum when it exploded. Even elemental energy couldn't block it out. This sort of poisonous gas wouldn't harm the human body, but once inhaled, while it would have no effect on women, but to men, it would be as if they had eaten aphrodisiac. If it isn't relieved in time, then one would explode and die. Her face couldn't help but be dyed with a layer of worry. There was only her and Ming Xiu here, unless she needed to relieve him of it? She admitted Ming Xiu was special to her, but she had not yet reached the point of sacrificing her body for him, so she could only quickly think of other ways. The yellow smoke showed its effects quickly, and after a while, Ming Xiu felt that his entire body was hot, dry, and unbearable. His lower abdomen also felt fiery and unendurable. When he smelled the faint fragrance of medicine from Lu Muyen beside him, he only wanted to hold her in his arms and possess her completely. But reason triumphed over desire. He bit his tongue, sped to the place farthest from Lu Muyen, sat cross-legged and attempted to force the poison out. His heart did move for Lu Muyen, but he would never take advantage of this situation to take her. Chapter 97. Ming Xiu's ruthlessness. A flush of red appeared on Ming Xiu's face, which set off his unrivaled handsome appearance with a little more taste of seduction. He kept changing his hand signs, mobilizing the ice element within him to suppress the rising heat in his abdomen and entire body, but the effect wasn't great. The poisonous gas condensed the entire essence of the ice toad, and it was difficult to get rid of after entering the body. Feeling that his whole body was alarmingly hot, and that he just constantly wanted to vent his desires, he immediately took out the spirit-cleansing pill that Lu Muyen gave from his interspatial ring and ate it. A coolness spread all over his body, and he gasped for a breath, feeling much more comfortable. But the effect of the medicine evaporated quickly, and in only a quarter of an hour, that hot desire spread through his entire body again. The moment Ming Xiu opened his eyes, he met with Lu Muyen's pair of beautiful eyes dyed with worry. The fire of desire in his chest burned even more vigorously. He immediately shut his eyes and muttered a calming scripture. Lu Muyen's brows furrowed together and couldn't help pacing back and forth. But even when she had such rich experience in her previous life, she had never encountered such a situation before. The flush on Ming Xiu's face grew darker as the ice elemental energy simply couldn't suppress the explosive desire at all. He bit the tip of his tongue hard to keep his reason. "Mo Yen, do you have any ideas?" Lu Muyen thought and thought but still didn't have any ideas. In the end, she could only ask for help from Mo Yen on her shoulder. Mo Yen's eyes remained light, fell silent for a moment, then said, "You want detoxify him with yourself?" Lu Muyen furrowed her brows even more and said helplessly, "I don't know. If she must use herself to get rid of Ming Xiu's poison, then she could only suffer a loss and sacrifice her body. After all, the body of a virgin seemed insignificant compared to Ming Xiu's life. Except she hadn't yet fallen in love with Ming Xiu. For her to sacrifice her body just like this to detoxify him this time, she would feel awkward and too embarrassed. So if she could get rid of it using another way, it was for the best." With complexity in his eyes, Mo Yen looked at the flamboyant, red-clothed man, who had stabbed his thigh with a sword in an attempt to stay conscious. "There is another way to save him besides you sacrificing your body." "What way?" Lu Muyen's eyes lit up. "Doesn't the foundation establishment pill you want to refine have the effect of washing the marrow and removing impurities? As long as you refine the foundation establishment pill and give it to him to use, all the impurities in his body will be discharged through the pores. The poisonous gas in body will naturally be discharged together and he wouldn't need to explode." Mo Yen said lightly. Lu Muyen's face displayed a bit of joy. "That's right. As long as all the impurities and waste gas that accumulated in the body were discharged, then the poison would naturally be eliminated. It just so happened that she found the deep orchid, so she now had all the medicinal resources needed to refine the foundation establishment pill. She immediately took out the cyan cauldron that she won at the auction, mobilized the fire elemental energy from within her and tossed a tongue of flame into the cauldron. In the previous immortal cultivation world, if one wanted to refine pills, aside from borrowing external fire sources, one had to cultivate to the core formation stage and use pill flames to refine. But because there were many different attributes of elemental energy on this continent, as long as one comprehended the laws of elemental energy to a certain level, one could use elemental energy condensation. Although she could condense fire elemental energy to battle when she was a great swordmaster, but she couldn't maintain it for a long time, so she couldn't use it to refine pills. But after advancing to the sword spirit cultivation base, the speed of her comprehension of the fire elemental law increased by a bit, so her fire elemental energy condensation could last longer, which was enough for refining pills. Of course, the pill flames of cultivators at the core formation stage was even better than fire elemental energy condensation. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. While the best source of fire for refining pills and tools, however, still came from the mutant flames derived from nature. But mutant flames were difficult to find, and even if one found one, they would be difficult to refine, so those that owned mutant flames were all practically the most gifted with exceptional natural talents. Lu Mu Yen quickly threw the main ingredients into the cauldron to refine one by one, baking them into powders of different colors. Then she wrapped them up with a layer of mental energy, placing them in one nook of the cauldron so that it wouldn't be affected by the fire elemental energy. She continued to throw several kinds of auxiliary spiritual herbs into the cauldron to refine, one by one. In order to not waste time, she used mental energy to individually wrap more than 10 kinds of auxiliary spiritual herbs to refine and roast together. Suddenly, Ming Xiu's eyes were bloodshot, and he stood up. His figure that originally wanted to walk towards Lu Mu Yen halted, used his instincts to suppress the haunting, burning desire, then turned to bombard the wall of the cave punch by punch in an attempt to vent it all out. Lu Mu Yan's heart tightened, and who would have thought that the one distraction caused her to hear a poochie sound from the cauldron? A few spiritual herbs failed because of insufficient fire power. She took a deep breath, retracted her gaze on Ming Xiu, gradually composed her mind and slowly entered the best free and natural state she possessed in her daily life. Then she threw some more spiritual herbs into the cauldron and closed her eyes to start refining. The sound of gravel falling and the entire cave rumbling resounded around her ears, but Lu Mu Yen couldn't hear it. She cut off all the disturbances from the outside world and concentrated on refining the foundation establishment pill, hoping that she, who had become rather rusty now, could form a pill in one go. Time passed bit by bit and Ming Xiu's originally pitch-black eyes were now completely bloodshot. He raised his head and looked, with great difficulty, at the calm woman who was currently refining pills, which made his heart felt more serene. But the desire had already reached a point where he almost couldn't restrain it. This was the first time in his life that he was in such a sorry state, not to mention it was in front of the woman that his heart moved for. He pressed his thin lips together and made a decision. Ming Xiu struck out a few Taoist seals, then he sat on a rock, and gradually, a layer of frost emerged on him. The frost increased little by little, and in the end, it turned into a piece of ice, sealing his entire person within it. There was a look of shock in Mo Yan's eyes. This man's perseverance and heart were really too strong. If it were another sword master, even if their cultivation level was exceptional, they may have long been unable to hold back and would have reached their hands towards Lu Mu Yen already. As a demonic beast himself, Mo Yen was well aware of the strength of the poison in that mutant toad's scrotum. Mental energy and elemental energy couldn't block it out, and the most important thing was that it was indiscriminate poisoning. That was, regardless of if one were a normal human or a person with exceptional cultivation base, this poison had the same result. Changing his perspective, he thought to himself that even if he were still at his peak, if he were infected with this kind of poison, he might not have maintained such a long period of reason and sober consciousness like this. Moreover, Ming Xiu, this man, was ruthless to others, but was even more ruthless to himself. When his consciousness began to blur because he didn't want to hurt Lu Muyen, he actually sealed himself in ice with elemental energy. If he failed to thaw, then had become an ice sculpture forever. Mo Yen glanced at Lu Muyen, who was concentrating on refining pills, sighed, bit the tip of his tongue hard, and a drop of blood essence shot from his mouth and fell straight into the cauldron. He didn't tell Lu Muyen just now, but in addition to washing the marrow and removing impurities, he also needed to add his blood essence to completely detoxify the scrotum poison of that toad. It's just that losing this bit of blood essence that was combined with his king-class bloodline meant that all the cultivation he did since awakening had been in vain. 1. 2 hours later, the cauldron made a buzzing sound, and a few bright, smooth, and lustrous pills flew out from within the cauldron, its fragrance overflowing. A slender jade-like hand made a gentle wave, and the plump and rounded pills fell into her palm. Lu Muyen opened her eyes and took out a porcelain bottle, placing 3 of the foundation establishment pills in it, then held the one that was left in her hand. She stood up and was prepared to give it to Ming Xiu to use. Yet who knew that she would see a scene that shocked her and make her heart tremble? What entered her eyes was an ice sculpture, and, horrifyingly, the man sealed within was precisely that red-clothed, seductively handsome Ming Xiu. Note: Ming Xiu. Chapter 98. Touched and Heart Moved. On November 22, 2021 by May Hour. True table of contents within the ice sculpture. The handsome man had his eyes tightly shut, his face calm, but his inborn domineering temperament, as if looking down upon the world, could still be felt through the ice. Lu Muyen's eyes were filled shock. She bit her lower lip and asked Mo Yen with difficulty, "He sealed himself in ice?" "Yes. He almost lost control just now and sealed himself in ice when he almost lost consciousness." Mo Yan's light voice carried a bit of admiration. "Ming Xiu." Lu Muyen murmured to herself while holding the foundation establishment pill tightly. Her heart was deeply shaken. In order to not hurt her, this man actually harmed himself instead. He actually sealed himself in ice. This act was equivalent to suicide if it wasn't controlled well. It was the first time since Mo Yen met Lu Muyen that he felt such a big mood swing from her. The woman who had always been calm and composed could actually tremble lightly. "He's a very strong and confident man. Don't worry, if he wasn't certain, he wouldn't be so stupid to seal himself in ice." Lu Muyen nodded and calmed herself down. It was an absolute lie if she said she wasn't touched. This man used all his actions to prove to her that he respected her. She held the pill in her hand and walked towards that ice sculpture. She half-squatted in front of the ice sculpture and stretched out her hand to caress the man's handsome and enchanting face through the ice. She sighed softly, and a gentle color that had never appeared before rose in her eyes. This man sure was good. He won her recognition so easily. She also had to admit right now that her heart moved. For the first time in her 2 lives, her heart moved for a man. Then, Lu Muyen hugged the ice sculpture with both hands, and the fire elemental energy in her body flowed out incessantly. She mobilized all the spiritual energy within her to transform into flames, melting the ice in her embrace little by little. Drip, drip. The ice sculpture was melted into droplets that kept dripping to the floor by the small tongues of flames made from fire elemental energy. 2 hours later, the last layer of ice that separated the 2 of them was completely melted by the flames and tightening of her arms. She hugged Ming Xiu's body. But his body wasn't as cold as imagined and was instead rolling with heat. The flush on his face grew deeper and deeper, like a human stove, as if it weren't suppressed, it would explode. While feeling the fiery body of the other party, she also felt that was another stronger force that traveled around his entire body, suppressing the heat of desire that constantly rose from his lower abdomen. It were as if a stone was dropped into the lake of Lu Muyen's heart, creating circles upon circles of ripples. She quickly let go of Ming Xiu, fed the pill in her hand into his mouth, then stepped back and meditated not far away from him to restore her spiritual energy. Just when Ming Xiu was feeling that his whole body was about to be ignited, he was suddenly embraced by a soft body with a faint fragrance of medicine. Then a pill entered his mouth and instantly melted. The medicinal effects of the pill flowed down along the meridians to his dantian area. When he felt that his consciousness was a little fuzzy, he heard the woman's clear voice, that was pleasant to the ear as if sweet spring water, in his sea of consciousness. Foundation Establishment Pill, Guide to the Dantian to Refine, with no distractions. First perform 3 macrocosmic orbits, then mobilize the elemental energy in your entire body to your Dantian to filter and purify, then come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. Ming Xiu's brows knitted tightly, calmed his mind, gradually tossed away that unbearable feeling of desire and heat, and followed Lu Muyan's telepathic words to start to refine the Foundation Establishment Pill. The medicine took effect slowly as the elemental energy quickly poured into his dantian from his entire body, filtered, then spread out again. A refreshing feeling overflowed from the meridians all over his body, making him enter a state of cultivation as if there were no one around him. Lu Muyan discovered that Ming Xiu had quickly entered the state of refining and a smile appeared on her lips. This man's perseverance and self-confidence exceeded her imagination. When she used fire elemental energy to melt the ice around Ming Xiu's body, she discovered that he had long been prepared. Even if she didn't do anything, he could still thaw himself, albeit ending with internal injuries, but he would allow the icy air to freeze all the toxins in his body. But by doing this, it would also greatly reduce his cultivation base. Even when the feeling of burning flames struck, this guy could still enter a focused state of cultivation. His heart and control were truly abnormal. Even if his cultivation base dropped, she believed that without too long, Ming Xiu could restore his strength and perhaps be even stronger. The moment Lu Muyan glanced over, she found that the flush on Ming Xiu's face had receded and traces of black smoke emerged from the top of his head. His red clothes were also blackened by the impurities that were forced out of his body. Her eyes couldn't help but reveal a touch of astonishment. Wasn't this man's talent just too strong? It only took 2 hours for him to finish cleansing his marrow using the refined Foundation Establishment Pill, and even discharged all the impurities and poisonous gas in his body. Such a strong talent could definitely be ranked in the top 10 in the spiritual world and had even more potential than those almighty immortal cultivators with rare spiritual roots. Feeling a flow of energy from Ming Xiu, she knew that he wanted to use the Foundation Establishment Pill to stabilize his cultivation base, so she poured a Foundation Establishment Pill out from the bottle and fed it to herself, then guided its medicinal effects into her dantian to refine. Then, a pure energy wandered around the meridians of her entire body, finally turning into a torrent, all rushing towards her dantian. Time passed bit by bit, and 2 days flew by in the blink of an eye. The green mist that wound around Lu Muyan's dantian doubled in size, and inside her body, it also seemed to have undergone a change so drastic it was as if the heaven and earth had flipped. Establishing a foundation was a watershed for cultivators. If one couldn't cross it, then they wouldn't be able to improve for the rest of their lives. After the foundation establishment stage, one would be able to comprehend the laws of the heavenly path and lay the foundation for the core formation and nascent soul more deeply. After running the pure and dense spiritual energy in her body in a macrocosmic orbit, Lu Muyan seemed to have found the feeling of when she was cultivating as an immortal again. A sense of security born from her heart filled the depths of her soul. With her soul sublimated, and the medicinal effects having expelled all the impurities from the washing of the marrow by the marrow-cleansing pill last time, Lu Muyan successfully established her foundation. Her sword master's cultivation base also took a step ahead and advanced to middle phase sword spirit. She opened her eyes and found that aside from Mo Yen in the cave, there was only the Jiao egg beside her. She turned her head and scanned the place where Ming Xiu sat before, but there was no one. He went out half a day ago. Mo Yen saw the befuddlement in Lu Muyan's eyes and said to resolve her confusion. A softness rose on Lu Muyan's face, and she reached out to rub Mo Yan's furry head, which attracted a cold glare from the other party. She couldn't help but laugh out aloud, Emma Yen, thank you for that drop of blood essence. She had already noticed that Mo Yen had incorporated his blood essence into the Foundation Establishment Pill. When she was refining the Foundation Establishment Pill, she even felt a pure demonic beast power integrating with her meridians. When she was washing the marrow and removing impurities, it also merged with her bone marrow. Her Buddhist toughness also heightened a level, and the flesh-refining skill had also reached a bottleneck. Where's the need for politeness between you and me? Mo Yen turned his head, feeling slightly awkward as he uttered these words. Lu Mu Yan's heart warmed, and she wanted to reach out and rub his head again but was avoided by him. She restrained her smile and said, "I'll refine the pill for you later." The power contained in that drop of blood essence of Mo Yan's probably consumed all his recent cultivation. Lu Mu Yen felt indebted, so she just wanted to quickly refine the pill that can improve his cultivation for him to refine. All right. As soon as the words of the one human one beast fell, Ming Xiu, dressed in his flamboyant red clothes, flew down from the hole on the top of the cave that was created by the bombardment of thunder. He walked straight to Lu Mu Yen, his gaze deep and unfathomable as the endless sea while revealing a bewitching smile. "Woman, you're awake." Chapter 99. Reveal until Lu Mu Yen stood up and faced Ming Xiu with a light upwards curve on her lips. The two had a tacit understanding, and neither spoke of the poisoning from before. "Where did you go? Where does the top of the cave lead?" Lu Mu Yen glanced at the pitch-black top of the cave and asked. Ming Xiu took out a bag of brown fruits from his interspatial ring and handed one to Lu Mu Yen. "I was afraid you'd be hungry when you wake up, so I went to find some spiritual fruits. This mountain top isn't far from the wooden hut of your academy's trial site." Lu Mu Yen didn't feel hungry at this point because as long as one successfully established their foundation, one didn't need to eat food anymore, but she didn't want to let down Ming Xiu's good intention. She took the fruit and copied how Ming Xiu peeled the skin, revealing a pink fruit within. She bit into it, a delicious sweet and sour taste, and it even had the slight effect of strengthening bones. "This fruit is a Qilin fruit one?" She hadn't seen this kind of fruit in the spiritual world before, but it was recorded in the Tianling continent's flora record. Qilin fruit generally grew in icy places and was exceptionally rare. It had the effect of helping humans and demonic beasts strengthen their bones. With frequent intake, it could even achieve the effect of tempering the body. "Yes. I see that your body is as strong as a demonic beast, so you must cultivate it as special body-refining skill. I happen to know a place where Qilin fruit grew, so picked it all back." Ming Xiu stuffed the entire bag of Qilin fruit to Lu Mu Yen. "Save it and eat it slowly." Lu Mu Yen wasn't quarrelsome either. Ming Xiu didn't refine his body as he used long-range attacks every time he fought, so the effect of this Qilin fruit was more suitable for her. "Then thank you very much." Ming Xiu furrowed his brows slightly and his devilishly handsome face approached Lu Mu Yan's, chuckling as he said, "We still need a thank you between you and me?" A faint pale pink rose on Lu Mu Yan's extremely beautiful face. She took a step back and changed the topic. "When will you go to the place where the heavenly frost golden crystal is sublimating?" Her heart did move for Ming Xiu, but their relationship still wasn't deep enough to be together just yet. She still had other things to do. Besides, she didn't understand Ming Xiu enough, only that this person was very powerful, had a deep connection to the Ming Chamber of Commerce Alliance, and nothing else. She wanted to go with the flow. If they were interested in each other, they would eventually be together in the future by fate. She preferred feelings that came naturally. Of course, because Ming Xiu was special to her, she didn't reject his closeness. There was a smile in Ming Xiu's long and narrow eyes. This little woman didn't resist his closeness, which was a good start. According to the intel in the reports, there should be another 5 or 6 days left for the formation of the heavenly frost golden crystal. It only takes 3 days from here. I still have to go to a place to find some materials for refining magic tools. Do you want to come with me? Lu Mu Yen thought for a moment, then raised her eyes and said, "I want to go back to hand in the second trial mission first, Then head to the place where the heavenly frost golden crystals forming, otherwise I won't make it. Ming Xiu's fire elemental energy comprehension was even deeper than hers, so she had sighed inwardly before, that if this person wasn't a smith, it would truly be a waste. Hearing that he wanted to find the materials to refine tools, she understood now. This guy was indeed a smith, and his grade definitely wasn't low. Alright, I'll give you the place where the heavenly frost golden crystals forming, and we'll meet there in 6 days. Ming Xiu took out an empty jade slip, placed it on his forehead and drew a picture with his mental energy, then handed it to Lu Muyen. Lu Muyen took the jade slip and browsed through it using her mental energy, remembered the map in her heart, then nodded, all right. The two of them didn't stay too long either as they had their own things to do. Ming Xiu wrapped an arm around Lu Muyen's waist and took her out of the cave within the cave in the cold pond. Then he sent her near the small wooden hut for the trials of Yanzhou Kingdom before hurriedly leaving. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. Inside the wooden hut, Yun Tsang, Lan Si and Yun Ji were discussing with each other around the furnace over tea. They all revealed surprise when they saw Lu Muyen enter the door. Lu girl, you've already completed your second mission? Yun Tsang pointed to the position opposite him and motioned for her to sit down. Lu Muyen nodded with a smile and took out, one by one, the 20 mission items she collected for the 3 to check. Lan Si picked up her mission list and checked it against the mission items, then a meaningful, gentle smile rose on his face. Lu Muyen, isn't your efficiency a bit too fast? You only took 4 days to gather all the items on the mission list. You sure hide your skills well. Lu Muyen glanced at Lan Si and was too lazy to beat around the bush with him. She rubbed the back of the little beast in her arms and said, I can find these items on the mission list this time mainly because of him. Lan Si and the others followed her words and cast their gazes on the fire cloud mink with what appeared to be a lifelike flame on his forehead, and they came to understand. The fire cloud mink's ability to find spiritual herbs and spiritual items were known by all, but they didn't expect that the one by Lu Muyen would be this powerful. They really didn't know if she was just lucky or because her eyes were sharp. Lan Si believed that it was the latter more. Lu Muyen stretched out her hand to pour herself a cup of tea, took a light slip, then raised her head to ask Yun Tsang, Imperial Master, may I ask if I can do the next mission yet? Not yet. You have to wait for the next round's list of names to come out before you're given a mission. But you're sure to enter the next, final round of the trial. Yun Tsang's wrinkled face revealed a rare, kind smile. Towards Lu Muyen's performance, he was very satisfied. How long must we wait? Lu Muyen asked with furrowed brows. Seeing that she seemed to be thinking about things, Lan Si looked at her and asked with a smile, You have something to do? It definitely wouldn't be something simple for her to ask the time so urgently like this. Lu Muyen reviewed the information provided by Ming Xiu in her mind. Recalling that when she pushed the door open earlier, she seemed to have heard the 3 mention the 10 distinguished clans, so she guessed that the 3 still didn't know about the news of the Heavenly Frost Golden Crystal for the time being. The Heavenly Frost Golden Crystal was to be birthed and the 10 distinguished clans concealed and sealed the news, so there must be powerhouses hidden in the trial teams. Although Ming Xiu was there, but there would be no guarantee everything was foolproof. She might as well tell this news to the 3 of them, which could help her better reap benefits during the confusion. Yes, I'll be hurrying to a place in 2 days. Lu Muyen nodded, and then made an appearance as if she were thinking about something. After a while, she asked the 3, I wonder if Imperial teacher and instructors have heard a piece of news? A piece of news? We haven't heard anything recently. Lan Si exchanged glances with the Imperial teacher and continued, Lu Muyen, don't keep us guessing. Just tell us directly. Lu Muyen chuckled softly, took another sip of tea from the cup, then said slowly, Do you know why the pupils of the 10 distinguished clans came to the glacial mountain range for their trial? We're also curious about that, but we've looked into it and found nothing unusual. Lan Si stared at Lu Muyen, then asked solemnly, Unless Lu Muyen, you heard something about it? They also suspected that this time the 10 distinguished clans came to the glacial mountain range with a purpose, but the news sent back by the spies weren't anything unusual. although they were still sending people to investigate, but Lan Si just felt that Lu Mu Yen discovered some sort of secret. The main purpose of the 10 distinguished clans this time isn't the selection trial, but rather they discovered the location of where the heavenly frost golden crystal will sublimate, and they're using the trial as a guise to cover for their movements. Lu Mu Yen spoke of the news that even these three didn't know of firmly. What? Yun Song and the others looked at Lu Mu Yen incredulously. Heavenly frost golden crystal. So it was the heavenly frost golden crystal, that sort of spiritual treasure that was difficult to find even in 1,000 years. No wonder the 10 distinguished clans would seal the news and use selecting the participants for the continental tournament for hegemony as a cover to come to the glacial mountain range for the trial. So it turned out that they indeed had a deeper purpose. One Qilin, also known as Kirin, no real English translation except for unicorn, but unicorn is a different species altogether in China too, aka Du Jiao Shou. Leaving it as the pinyin. You're tuning in to the Wang Lin's Journey YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.